This is Booking the Territory, a pro wrestling podcast hosted by Mike Mills, Hardbody Harper from Wildcat Sports and Entertainment, and the mentally irregular Doc Turner. This podcast is a mix of your topics and thoughts in the world of pro wrestling, along with interviews and discussions with current independent stars and your favorite stars from the past. And now, here's your host, Mike Mills.
Thank you all for tuning into this special edition or special episode of Booking the Territory's Pro Wrestling Podcast, hosted by myself, Mike Mills, Hardbody Harper, and Doc Turner. The reason this is a special episode is because back in 2015, I had the pleasure of sitting down with WWF legend and legend of the territory days, the One Man Gang, aka Akeem, the African Dream from his WWE, WWF days. And we sat down with another friend of mine, the California stud known from his Global Wrestling Federation days out of the Sportatorium in Dallas, Rod Price. I've known Rod Price for many years. He is a great guy. Him and the One Man Gang are really, really good friends. I also met the One Man Gang back in my independent days many, many moons ago in the mid-90s. And I was lucky enough to land him on Booking the Territory's Pro Wrestling Podcast. Well, when we recorded that episode, I had no clue that we were going to be on the phone recording for 3+ hours. And since we usually do a weekly wrestling wrap-up between WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor, well, I had to break up the episode into 3 different parts. Therefore, in December 2015, over the course of a 3-week span, we aired Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 of the One Man Gang interview. One Man Gang does not do many podcasts. At least he did not back then. Who knows how many he's doing now. Whatever, though. When we recorded it, like I said, divided it up. And through feedback from many of our listeners, mainly being at THOG94, my buddy Thog, TK, he said, hey, man, why don't you put the 3 together into a package and make it one podcast? I said, yeah, I certainly will do that. So what you're watching now is the YouTube version of the One Man Gang and the California stud Rod Price on Booking the Territory's Pro Wrestling Podcast, the whole part. Now, we are also in the process, if it hasn't already done so, of uploading this to iTunes and wherever else you get your podcast, just the audio form. You are listening to that right now. Now, keep in mind, you're just listening to this interview, but we do weekly wrestling reviews. It's myself, my buddy Doc Turner, Hardbody Harper from Wildcat Sports and Entertainment. We cover WWE, ROH, and TNA weekly. We have a lot of fun. If you've ever got questions for us on those episodes, shoot us an email at bookingtheterritory@gmail.com, and we will be glad to give you a shout out on the show. Also, follow us on Twitter at BTT_podcast. If you want to follow me, I'm not important. It's at Mike504 Saints. Doc Turner is not doing social media at this point in time, neither is Hardbody Harper. Well, we would love to hear from you, and we would love to have you listen to our weekly shows where we always interview, or generally always interview, either a former WWE star, former WCW star. We've had on guys like Donovan Dijak from Ring of Honor, the Beer City Bruiser from Ring of Honor, Brian Fury, who has been a top prospect competitor for Ring of Honor. I have had on Sam Houston on the show. We have had Kenny the Starmaker Bolin, who many of you may know from the Jim Cornette Experience on MLW Radio. So we have had a list of people on, along with the wrestling reviews that we do weekly. So please check us out on iTunes, podbean.com, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, wherever you get your podcast from. Just search Booking the Territory and the podcast will come up, and write us some 5-star reviews. That would greatly help us out. But for right now, you are going to listen to the whole 3 parts, which is nearly 3 hours long, of the One Man Gang and the California stud, or hard way or rugged, Rod Price from back in the day. And they're going to talk about ECW, WWE, WWF, WCCW with the Von Erichs. There's some Von Erich stories in here. There's some Gary Hart stories in here. I think there may even be an Akbar story in here. But plenty of cool stuff from back in the days of the territories that you will enjoy. So sit back, relax. If you're watching on YouTube, have no fear. This will be uploaded soon, if it hasn't already done so, on the iTunes and where you can catch all your podcast stuff from. We'll have it up there shortly. But sit back and relax. Enjoy some stories from the California stud Rod Price and the One Man Gang. if the listeners haven't figured it out at this point, I got One Man Gang and Rod Price on the line. If you'd have told me in the 80s and early 90s I'd be talking to both of you on the phone, I would have pinched myself. But anyway, so with that being said, y'all all right tonight?
You weren't born until 1975.
I've been watching. I remember you in early Mid-South.
Green in your diaper.
I was. You ain't lying. You're not lying.
Go ahead there, Jeff.
Hey, Rod, do you mind?
His mother used to put him up to the TV while he's in the crib, so he's counting that.
That's right.
Wish I'd said that.
I count it all. Hey, Rod, do you mind? Gang was telling me the story about your head that he mentioned on that message that he called you on that message that we sent between each other, but he didn't know if you would want it said on air and on recording, so we don't have to talk about it. But he told me about your problem up in ECW. You had some you got nicked in the head a little bit.
Yes, I did.
Do you recall?
Everybody's so concerned.
Okay.
I'm so sensitive about my stories. But, I'll try to get through this without breaking down too much.
I didn't know if it was legal to say that word on the air or not. I don't know. I don't know what they allow anymore.
It's all good.
Okay, you want to talk about it, Rod, or what?
Yeah.
Well, you want me? Okay. You're right. Well, as you wearing the thing, you want to tell them what it was about?
George, I want to hear it through your eyes, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay, wrestling fans. Me, One Man Gang, and Hardway Rod Price are working ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, for a certain fella up there in the East Coast. And one night in some building on the East Coast, Mr. Hardway has to do a Hardway, so he gets busted open. And as they say, the clariot is flowing freely all over Rod Price. So after the event, of course, he had to do the job. He got the 1, 2, 3 on him. That's a given.
That's a given.
After the event, we're in like a minivan we'd rented, so all of us, I ain't going to mention names of everybody that was in the van, but it was me and Hardway and a couple others and a lady that joined us on the trip. I mean, a lady that worked on the show, not just a lady. I'm just saying she worked on the show. She was included in our group. So we get in the vehicle after the event. Hardway's still kind of dripping a little bit. That clariot just won't stop flowing for some reason. So
no, I was going to be hard-weighted all week, so, in my infinite wisdom, I said, hey, you know what? I'll go a little deep. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, gang.
Yeah, Hardway figures he just do it one time, and I had to take care of it for the week. But we're in the van traveling, and none of us have anything to help him out. We don't have any tape, any covering, anything to help him out. So we ask around, and the lady in the vehicle says, well, all I have is these feminine pads, better known as Kotex. So we take this Kotex from this lady in the van with us, and we apply it to Hardway Rod Price's forehead and tape it on. So we're going about halfway down the road. It starts filling up. It's full of blood. So we take it off and have to apply another feminine pad to his forehead. We stop at a mini mart. We all get out of the van to go get our little treats. And these people inside in this mini mart, Hardway walks in with his Kotex taped all over his forehead. People in there looking all crazy at him like, man, look at that dude. He's got a Kotex taped on his head. The Hardway don't even care. He just comes in there and gets his gimmicks. We pile back in the van and head on down the road, baby.
That's right.
I call Hardway Kotex head. The only wrestler that put a Kotex on his head. Most wrestlers put tape or a bandage or something. Not Hardway, baby. Hardway puts a Kotex on his head.
Doesn't stop with one, it goes to two.
Yeah,
That's
it kept going,
part,
man. He hit a gusher that night. I don't know what the deal was. That's just because he was an amateur. He wasn't a professional. Right. He wasn't a professional like me, Eddie. He's an amateur.
Right, you really had a Kotex on your head.
Pat spears all night, so I was going for the juggler.
Jesus. Oh man.
Wasn't that the same night you got your leg injured?
That may have been. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's when Mr. RVD broke my leg. Well, almost broke it. Might as well. It was a hairline fracture. Doctor told me it was close as it could be without an actual break of the bone. Mr. RVD, Mr. Monday Night, Mr. Break Your Leg, and not even come over and
give my body to you, not worried about it.
Not even apologize to you about it.
Well,
no way.
I want this story too.
It's the
no, you can tell it if you want.
I don't care.
I mean,
he's called and apologized to me on telephone since this time, but
okay.
Yeah, we were working the show somewhere again on the East Coast. All these little towns, end up being the same after a while. Yeah. But him and I are working the match, and during the match, I'm in the corner, and he's like toward the center ring coming toward me, and I'm rushing toward him, and he does one of his crazy spin kicks where he has no control over it and caught me flush in the temple. I mean, I went out cold like I didn't even know what was going on. I just dumped to the mat, and all my weight went to one side, my one right leg, and it buckled underneath me, and I don't remember anything till I woke up, and some guys were helping me back to the dressing room, and the referee told me my eyes rolled back in the head, my head like a slot machine, and come to find out, he almost broke my leg. My ankle was all really messed up. It's still messed up from that. And he didn't even come over to apologize. Everybody else was checking on me, Tommy Dreamer, the whole crew, basically, Hardway, everybody, man, but he didn't even come over and check on me. That dude knocked me out cold. And then the referee tells me he wanted you to get up and take the Van Daminator. That old chair shot thing where Fonzie holds the chair up and he jumps off the corner and kicks it into your brains. He was telling me, he was like saying, get up, I got to do the Van Daminator. I'm knocked out cold. Now, I ain't never been knocked out in my life. In all my years of wrestling, I never got knocked out. That was the first time ever I was knocked out solid cold. Now I understand boxers and UFC fighters when you get hit, man. You just go out. You can't control it.
No.
That was crazy. Put me out of action.
Lights out. Good night, Irene.
That was it. It put me out of action, though. That was for sure. Had to go to the darn doctor, get x-rays when I got back and all that kind of junk. They put me in a walking cast. I was supposed to wear it for so many weeks, this big old walking foot boot-looking thing. And I'd already I'd already made a deal with to go to Japan and work in place of Bam Bam Bigelow for this FMW, some kind of retirement match. Sabu was going over there, and it was supposed to be Bam Bam Bigelow, but Paul came to me, and asked if I would take his spot, so I agreed to. But this is before I broke my leg or hurt it. But anyway, I still went over there. I went and did the show. About halfway through the trip on the plane, I just took the boot off and threw it away. And once I got there, I just, when I was in the back dressing room, I asked them, do you have any duct tape? So they went and found me some duct tape. I just taped my ankle up as tight as I could stand it with duct tape, and I brought some lace-up boots because I knew, because of my messed-up ankle, I'd have to have lace-up boots. I just pulled it over that duct tape and tied them up tight as I could and went on out there, did what I had to do. If you ever see the video, you can see I'm kind of favoring, one side there, so it all worked out. I did the one show and came back home, got my little payday, a couple hundred Japanese yen or whatever it was, and come on back to the house, all broke up.
Hey, but
Rod Price puts Kotex on his head. The one-man gang tapes up a broke ankle and goes out there and wrestles, by gosh.
That's right. We knew wrestling. We were wrestling.
Yeah, I was about to say that because y'all both from the territory area, and gang, you and I kind of talked about that when you called me or I was reached out to you. We were talking, we weren't recording. Back in that day, talk about it, man. You worked. If you didn't work, you didn't get paid, right? You went out there at all costs. You worked injured. I mean, what'd you tell me, Rod? 6 days, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday.
That's right.
Well, speak up, Hardway. Say something.
Well, I'm just getting in here, if you would shut up for a minute, please. Heard about your hurt leg. Jeez.
You sitting over there with your broke back and all that. You ain't got no broke back.
You could have put Van Damme over. You just knocked out. He was
just knocked out.
Knock your eyes back around.
He did get the 1, 2, 3, but he got it on an unconscious person.
Mike, back to your question. Yeah, man. I mean, all of us went out. We all had stings and bangs because you don't work, you don't get paid. So everybody sucked it up. I mean, I think you can contribute a lot of these fatalities to our fallen warriors from maybe partaking too much to go out, And then, it's one thing to be out in the ring, but what goes up must come down eventually.
Exactly. I agree with that. My back in Mid-South days with Cowboy Bill Watts, it was a known thing that everybody would always say this. It didn't matter what happened, you better make that show. It didn't matter if you was in a car wreck or whatever. You crawl to get to that show. If you get killed coming to the show, bring your dead body in there and let somebody get a pinfall on it. That's exactly what they really, they honestly believe that too.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it was. Once you advertised and you had these shows going, it was back in the day, it was hot business. Shows were sold out. Of course, you want your talent there. You don't want them, lost somewhere. You got to have talent at the show. So, Bill was just strict that way. And
Yeah, it makes sense. You got hot storylines going on. The talent's got to be there. You were talking about Akbar when you and I were talking offline, and you were saying how, when I was telling you about, man, the territory days are so great just from a fan perspective, you were like, man, them people, Rod worked with them too, that people they wanted Akbar dead in that era. That wasn't heat, that was real. The people were, kill that son of a gun. We hate him. Oh, it was real. Gang, you told me the story about y'all would literally have the car running with the bags packed in the car. That way, when y'all walked back, y'all didn't even have to go grab your bags. You just went straight to the car.
Exactly.
To get out of there.
Yeah, we had to, or we get trapped in the building. Most of just about every show you go to, them old, I ain't saying nothing bad about police or anything, but most times these police just wouldn't really help you out because they're local guys. They don't want to.
Right.
They don't want to make themselves look bad in front of their hometown people. So they would be okay usually from the ring to get to the back area. But once you got to that back area, they just suddenly disappeared. They just was nowhere around. So when we leave the buildings in the back areas, you might have 100, 200 people back there with no security. And you got to get to your vehicle and get out of that place. And they'd be beating on your car and spitting on you and throwing stuff at you. It was just every night that way. So, we would, if we were in the main event, if you were semi-main or even then, sometimes you had to get out fast. You just missed your shower just to get it going out. But
right.
But if you was that main event match, a lot of times we just have our stuff in the vehicle, and my wife Mary would be there, and she would have it running, ready to go, and we'd head straight on out, don't stop for anything, and get on out the door and jump in our vehicles, and we had to take off, man. And people was crazy.
They still are.
Still are.
Different way.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the heat. Yeah, the heat now, it's a little different. It's more geared towards, they're mad about it.
Yeah. Now, nobody gets mad about anything. It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's entertainment. I don't care who you are. The kid in elementary school now knows it's entertainment.
Absolutely. He can tell you the whole history.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can type anybody's name in on the internet now. You know their real names and everything about, what they like to eat. And how can you be a heel, a real true heel, and, everybody knows everything about you? In our days, nobody knew us, We were heels. We had a mystique about us. You didn't know if we'd grab you up by the throat or what. People just didn't know,
Which helped out.
I agree.
Too.
What's that, Rob?
That helped out with our safety, too, with that mystique that Gang was talking about, because, like you said, people didn't know what you were going to do to them. So, you know, with that mystique, it kind of helped with your safety, with the intimidation factor, where you could go into some places and, you know, it was a bubbling crowd where, you know, they were saying some stuff, but it could have turned worse if we didn't have the mystique and the heel factor of, hey, you know, these guys were known bad guys kicking tail everywhere, and they people didn't want to come up to you. You know, they were very shy, very timid at coming up to you, and that's the way it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
Well, I can only imagine, because, gang, you were in world class, and then so I know just living in that hot box, not literally hot box, but the heat that was generated there. And then, Rod, when you first went there, didn't you, like, you know, part of the story, you jumped Kerry. So
right.
Y'all probably had to deal with some heat back in the day, especially in Akbar's stable, dealing with fans that just want to kill y'all.
Well,
I can only imagine that. That's right. I'm sorry,
gang.
That's right.
Was always on the Louisiana side.
Yeah. That's right.
He did work world class, but when he came over there, he would bring Kamala, and I was with Gary Hart, so me and Kamala would be matched up against each other at some of the bigger shows, you know, the holiday shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Against each other, not as a teammate, but against each other, because Gary Hart and Akbar had kind of a little heat, not a shoot heat factor, but, you know, fans thought there was something between them. So Akbar would bring Kamala, and Gary Hart had me, so that was you set up for a match right there.
Right. But with Von Erich, I mean, it was, and I say this with all, you know, if they could have gone to the house shows, if they would have made the house shows, I mean, we had some heat that we were building on, and then, you know, Kerry would no show. You wouldn't see him for 2 days. He'd be out doping.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a good thing and had the possibility of being really something good. But, you know, you got to remember, and then they put me with Kevin. They bring in Kevin if Kerry no showed. And that was another ECW night, man. You never knew what you were going to get.
Easier bar fights than wrestle him.
Oh, man.
It's funny y'all say that, because when I had Rod, thanks for hooking me up with James. When James was on the show, James was I had mentioned that to him, that I had actually heard Kevin talk about some of his matches with Chris Adams, and I remember some of those matches. They looked brutal, and I told James, I said, man, I mean, Kevin and Chris killed each other in some of those matches, and James said, well, Kevin really thought it was a shoot. Like, he didn't say exactly that, but he was like, he really went in there and laid it in. And it's funny when y'all just said that about Kevin. That's what it made me think of when James was telling me that story. He goes, he got in there, and him and Chris, they went at it. It was no holds barred, so to say.
Yeah, you had to. If you didn't, they'd eat you up. You wouldn't have a chance. If you just let them get away with it, they'd just eat you up alive. You wouldn't. You'd just be like a job guy, basically. But if you fall back with them, you was good. But if you didn't fight back, they'd eat you up. I mean, if he hit you in the mouth, you better hit him right back in the mouth. That's just what it was.
Yeah, I hear you. They were notorious for getting all their stuff in, and then, all right, let's go home, you know.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Gang was saying, you know?
I mean, Kerry wasn't quite as bad. I'll admit that, but Kevin, man, he was just crazy. He just didn't have no regard for your body at all.
No.
He would, like, you know, drop kick you, and just basically, you know, your teeth would be loose after he drop kicked you. But, you know, for me, it was good, because I come from from Mid-South and all that, so he'd do that to me. I'd jump up and just pound the heck out of him, you know.
Right.
So I guess, you know, after a while, he just, you know, it was good, tight, stiff matches, strong style, I guess they call it nowadays. But I liked it. A lot of guys didn't, you know. A lot of guys don't like that. But as long as you're not hurting my knees or, you know, stuff that's really going to put me out of the business, you know, I can take a shot in the face or something. I don't mind coming out with a black eye or whatever back in those days. But a lot of guys didn't like it at all. So I guess that's why, you know, I kind of fitted in real well and really had some good, you know, made some decent money with them guys.
And it was a fight. I got got a $50 bonus for keeping Kevin in a 15-minute match.
I really liked the world class area. I really liked it a lot. Travel really wasn't too bad. Was all, except for when you had to go down to West Texas or whatever. But you'd catch that old flight jet thing out of Dallas there. But all the travel was pretty much right in that area. You didn't really go too far, even during the week when we just do spot shows, house shows or whatever. It didn't have to travel too far. But like I said, even then the crowd was still crazy because it was just all Von Erich country.
Yep. If
you didn't have to.
Von Erich was in there. If they were on the show and in the building, it was a good night.
Right, exactly.
The crowd was there. It was good for everybody. But
right.
when
like Rod said, is if Kerry could make the show and if he showed up in a good condition to actually work.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen him make the building, but that was about it.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot of times. One of the times that really sticks in my mind, like you say, I hate saying things about somebody that's no longer around or whatever, but I mean, it's just a fact. This happened, and I just happened to be there to see it. So, what the heck?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Kerry we was in Fort Worth, and Kerry had a match against Ric Flair for the title. So all the matches go through, and everything's ready for Kerry's match, and nobody can find Kerry because nobody knows where he's at. Flair's getting, on his way out to the ring, and everybody's like, man, where's Kerry at? And so come to find out, he ain't even got his boots on yet. He's out in the back parking lot. I don't know what the heck he's doing out there, but he's out in the back parking lot. You can see he ain't right. So he comes running in there. He grabs his boots and he throws his boots on. Don't even half lace them up. Makes his way to the ring, and then during the commentary when they show it back, back on TV or whatever, old Bill Mercer's trying to cover it up, going, Kerry Von Erich, he had a flu that night. He had a temperature of 102 degrees, and so he's out there with his boots unlaced, and wrestling tights ain't even fixed right or nothing. It's just horrible.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. You in there with the world champion, sold out, jam-packed to the rafters. You can't be prepared for that. Come on, man.
Really.
Has this pill.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rod. You would say something?
That's what contributed to, the fast fall. Because the Von Erichs, no showing territories, no showing these little house shows, just burned them out. I mean, it was.
I just don't understand maybe they were in that much pain that they had to do these things to feel good. I don't know. I'm just saying, man, we'd take flights on, to go to West Texas or whatever, and they literally couldn't walk off the airplane. I've seen Kerry, and they would basically, the guys would have to carry him off the airplane. He'd be so bad, in such bad shape. Right. It was just pitiful. I mean, here you are, you're the Hulk Hogan of world class. This is Kerry Von Erich, and here he is, can't even walk off an airplane, just muttering to himself, drooling and all. It was just sickening,
Yep. Man, what's crazy? Nowadays, man, you wouldn't be able to hide that at all. I mean, with social media.
Nowadays, they got that wellness stuff. You'd be gone in a second. Unless you may be one of the major, headliners, but most guys would be gone in a second if it happened nowadays.
Oh. But even with that though, with Facebook and Twitter and everything, man, people would be taking pictures.
And Fritz gonna fire his son? Come on.
Well, yeah.
Kerry was basically what world class was. Yeah, you had Kevin and the other boys, but Kerry basically was the main star of world class wrestling.
Yep.
Gang, were you there when David was still alive?
No, I wasn't. Because I came in after that. I was on the memorial shows and stuff they did for him. I wasn't there then, but I've heard that he was really, a really good worker.
Yeah, I would say David was a lot better than Kerry at all. He was really the.
Well, I was there when they started putting a youngster in there. Even Chris. I was there when they tried to. They was making him get in the ring and trying to do angles with him, and he was just a youngster, We out there having to take bumps for a darn 15-year-old.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Man.
You can't. I mean, he's another Von Erich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out there taking bumps for him, and he's sorry to say again, but Chris was living the life of Kerry.
He was falling right in his footsteps. But anyway,
Rod, you told me that.
We needed to just change it because we're talking about people.
I don't.
I just hate having them that way. They were nice people. I did real well there, but that was just part of them, And I just hate that it ended up the way it ended up for them.
Yeah, and it wasn't. Rod had told me something when he did the show a few months back, and it was we just were talking in general about how. And we don't need to talk about this in depth, but just not just them, but everybody. Rod, you had made a statement that at one point you think you're popping a pill here because you need some pain relief because your back's killing you, your knees killing you, and you got to make the time the next day, and then before you know it, a couple months down the line, you think you're controlling it, but it's controlling you. Related to just the pain medicine, not just them, just everybody, because of how it was back then, and you had less information and related to long-term effects on things. So you were medicating your body the whole time to make do. I can only imagine what that was like trying to live like that. And like you said, Rod, you think you're running it, but it's running you.
Yeah, a lot of guys. Right. I mean, I'll just be honest. I'm not just saying it because but I never took anything. I mean, I would take, like a Tylenol or something, but strong, stuff like that, I'd never, ever in my whole career did I take anything like that. I was just scared of it. I didn't want to mess with it. And I just, if I was hurting, I just sucked it up and kept on going. I'd pop a Tylenol, Advil, whatever, but I never took anything, like that.
All right, gang, I got to step in now. When you broke your leg when you were in the mystery machine, and I passed the hat for you, I gave you a morphine pill.
You sure?
Yes.
You told me it was a Tic Tac.
No.
You said, "Hey, gang, won't you do? Here's a Tic Tac for your breath." I thought it was a Tic Tac.
No.
You trying to kill me,
brother? You took the little tiny one, and it was quiet. I heard nothing but.
What is Rod Price?
It was quiet.
What is he doing with that in his bag anyway?
I had a prescription.
Yeah, prescription.
Maybe I did. I really don't remember that too well because I was, my leg was hurting and all that. I thought it was kind of funny after I took that Tic Tac, the pain went away. I didn't know.
On that, gang, I other than that, brother, I can honestly say I've never seen you drink a beer or take another type of pill in my life.
I never was into it, man. I never was into it. My joy was getting to go out to the ring and do what I did out in the ring. That's really what I like to do, and I didn't want to mess it up.
Right.
And let me tell you.
That's why guys didn't like really riding with me, played to the matches and stuff, because if we had to be there 1 hour before, I was there 1 hour before,
right.
Or whatever the rules were. I was always in that dressing room, so... Guys, you know how guys were, oh, man, we'll show up right at bell time and crazy stuff. I could not do that. I mean, if I was told to be there 2 hours before, I was there 2 hours before. That was just instilled in me way, way early, that's the way it was going to be in the business, and you should do it that way.
Well, it was a job.
Exactly.
And, when your employer tells you to be somewhere at a certain time,
yeah, but the guys didn't do it, man. They'd show up, but like I said, it'd be bell would be ringing and some of them show up.
Oh, I know, man. But I was like you, George. If I was going to be somewhere, then I wanted to be there and know what was going on. And
exactly.
Because you know how many changes happened there in that last hour. So
I don't want to have to rush to put my gear on, because I got tape I need to put on this or whatever. I don't want to rush, man. I want to get my finish and understand what's going on and, just relax a little bit before it all gets going. Some of them guys just didn't care. They wanted to hang out the last second, then come in the building. I just never understood that.
It's always best to be early. I mean, that's the best way to go out.
We understand that, but It was that way every single night. You'd always have guys that show up right at bell time, you know. Just never understood how they got away with it, but they did it, you know. So.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things done I didn't understand, but.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you this, though. For Bill Watts, you didn't do it because Bill Watts fine you. If you wasn't there 1 hour before bell time, he'd fine you $500. You can't afford that.
Nope.
Good for him. Shoot.
Well, yeah, he has to. Yeah, come on, man. If you don't, you know how professional wrestlers are, man. They're going to take advantage of you. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
If you don't run a tight ship like Vince McMahon or whoever, but back in the day, Bill would find the heck out of people. He didn't care who you were. It didn't matter if it was Junkyard Dog or it didn't matter who it was. He'd find the heck out of them if they didn't show up on time or broke one of his rules about kayfabe and all that. He was really, really serious about kayfabing with baby faces or baby faces with heels or anything like that. You better never do that. You'd be kicked out in a second.
That's what
Man,
led
when
to
I
the
was a
success
kid,
of the territory.
I was with gang talking about if you broke kayfabe. When I was a kid in New Orleans, they had a mall, and I remember. It seems like I remember some angle with Junkyard Dog was blinded. Man,
Right, yeah.
Junkyard Dog was in the mall, walking around with somebody with a thing over his eyes, like he was blinded in real life.
Exactly.
And man, I mean, I remember seeing that as a kid, going, "Holy crap, he's really blinded."
Right.
Damn. But literally, there's somebody, Junkyard Dog, walking around in New Orleans East Mall, the Plaza Mall, that's not there anymore since Katrina. He's walking around the mall. He's really blind.
Right. Well, you had to because they showed that angle on TV. I think the Freebirds blinded him. They did an angle on Freebirds blinding him. And I mean, once they show that on TV, if you don't go out with that gimmick on your eyes, I mean, how's that going to look, you know? I mean, how are you going to explain that? Well, I just saw a Junkyard Dog blinded on TV. He's walking around with nothing. He's normal. You couldn't do that, man, because had built it so that the people believed it so much, it didn't matter what played on that TV, that the fans watching it honestly believed it, you know? That's what got Junkyard Dog, you know, over so big at that time, you know? The people... They honestly, truly believed everything they saw on Mid-South Wrestling.
Yep. I felt, I mean, I was a kid, but I felt like, damn,
right,
he's blind.
So when he comes up, you figure when he finally has his big rematch against, you know, the Freebirds or Michael Hayes, once he gets healed up or whatever, what's people going to do, man? If they see him walking around all messed up like that, oh, man, I got to go pay to see this. Man, Junkyard Dog is going to go against that dude that blinded him. We got to go see that. There you go.
That's right. Break the penny bank. Let's go.
Break that. That's it, exactly. Go get that $5 for that ringside ticket.
That's right.
That's about what it was back then.
Yeah.
Now it's $50.
Man, probably more than that.
Ain't that crazy?
Man.
And you know, the difference now is the fans that watch it, they leave after, and when they leave, they start complaining. Oh well, the guy didn't do this, and I wish somebody would have been booked like this. They're not complaining about actually the wrestling. They're complaining about how it was booked.
They complain, but then the next time they come to town, they're there again.
Yeah.
I say, hey gang, I say that all the time because like people will tweet my podcast and on Facebook they'll tweet the show and they'll go, yeah, Raw was terrible and this sucked and that sucked, and I tell them, I reply back all the time, yeah, you're telling me all that, but you're going to be right back watching on Monday night for the 3 hours from 7 o'clock to 10
I love how the
next
fans
week.
can book everything nowadays. They get online and they're like, man, Vince should be booking this way and he should be doing this. Well, he should be using this guy better. I mean, come on.
Get CM Punk back.
$1 billion company, and these fans are going, I want to book it. They got it's just insane.
I'll tell you what we want. It should be ran like this.
Yeah, we want this match. We
Yeah.
want to do it this way. It's insane. I'm just saying, I mean, the wrestling world nowadays is just insane. I don't even know. I guess that's why I didn't survive in it. I couldn't. Maybe I couldn't. I don't believe I can make the change.
No, it was started at ECW. Remember Dreamer?
Well,
Whatever you know about wrestling,
man.
forget.
Yeah, he basically told me right to my face, whatever you ever learned in wrestling, just forget it.
Wow.
Now, because me and Rod, we had to they were doing a pay-per-view, and me and Rod Price was tag teaming up, and we had to go out before the show in a dark match and have a match with Nova, and I ain't sure, it might have been the Amish Roadkill.
Yeah.
We had a tag team match before the actual pay-per-view just so they could get their microphones and all the equipment sound checks and stuff set up. I told Tommy Dreamer, I said, Dreamer, I ain't never in my life done a dark match like this on a pay-per-view. I've always been somewhere on the card. And Dreamer's looked at me just all crazy looking and said, gang, this is ECW. Just whatever you learned in pro wrestling, just forget it. I can still tell him that to this day when I see him at a signing. I said, Dreamer, you remember when me and Rod had to do that dark match? You told me just to forget everything. That was just insane. I mean, here you got
that is crazy.
Here you got two known stars, and you putting them out there in a dark match to do a sound check.
And I don't think we shouldn't even call it a dark match because I don't think they did any filming.
No, they didn't film it, but I just say dark match because it wasn't on the pay-per-view. Basically, just a match so they do the sound check and get their equipment right. That was pitiful.
We were.
Well, I actually was going to ask both of y'all because I knew y'all were up there at that point in time, how it was during your time in ECW, and if y'all had anything y'all wanted to talk about related to that. But I guess y'all just covered that part with that story.
My actual time there was enjoyable. All the guys were respectful.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole time there was really good. I just had that one little trouble with Van Dam. Rest of the guys, I didn't have I did have trouble with one guy.
Balls.
Yeah, Balls Mahoney. I had a little trouble with him, but other than that, I mean, all the dudes were respectful, man, and they wanted to ask you questions or something, but other than that, I mean, I didn't have no trouble with Paul or anybody else. My money was always good and never had no bounce checks or anything. So other than that, that's all you can ask for, until my last time I was supposed to went up there and I didn't get a plane ticket. Now, then that was just it. I went to New Orleans to fly out. I walk up there and ask, usually they had a reservation, plane tickets paid for. I get my name and there's no plane ticket. So I guess Paul's figuring I'll pay for it on my end, but I'm not going to do that, because I'll never get reimbursed for it. So I just turned her. Well, I didn't go back home. My wife dropped me off. She was gone, and this is why we didn't have no phones to call each other. So I just sat at the airport. I called home, and the machine picked it up. I told her what happened on the machine, and it was hours and hours later she finally showed up and picked me back up. But that was my last time. That was my last time there. I never went back after that. So
yeah, that started after when they rolled over to the TNT.
TNN or whatever it was.
Yeah, National Network thing.
TNN.
Yeah.
And it's because they calmed down on what made ECW was the difference in violence and whatever, and then they started calming it down for the new channel, and boy, I tell you what, the fans really hated it. Because
they used to have violence and just craziness from them, and then once you got to Nashville Network, you got to watch your P's and Q's, and it was just a whole different show then.
Right. Absolutely. It really diluted them.
So, I mean, you got, I'm just saying, I ain't saying nothing bad. I ain't mad at nothing.
Yeah.
But here we are, me and Rod, we're there. We very, very seldom even get on TV. Hardly ever. We do house shows for them, but, I mean, we very seldom get on TV. But then they bring in Sid Vicious, and, man, he's on everything. He's doing the pay-per-views and on TVs and everything, Now here's me and Rod. We can't get on a TV for nothing.
I remember that actually. I remember Rod when you were there, and by that point you and I were seeing each other all the time at the gym, and I was like, God damn, they never put him on TV. And that next week I remember you're on TV and putting over Van Dam. That was I hadn't seen you in weeks, maybe months at that point, but I definitely recall that.
I still get fans that question me now, man. Was you in ZCW? I don't remember you being there. I'm like, well, because they never made the TV. Because he wanted to put his own talent on there, which I can understand, but, using us on house shows, at least put us on there, a couple little times just so, you possibly go to house shows and people know who you are, I mean, I'd been off of TV a good while, so people forget,
You bet.
But Paul didn't want us on TV for whatever reason. We did a couple little run-ins or something, but other than that, we were hardly ever seen, if ever, on TV, but we did house shows, but other than that was about it.
Yeah.
You know what, Rod, I recall from you, the TVs that you were on, it always seemed like New Jack was stapling you in the head.
Seemed like.
Yeah, that was my gimmick. That's what started the Kotex.
That's why I said that. I was like, now that I think about it, damn, Rod, you were yeah. I don't say that to be mean or funny. I just remember that. It's like it's sticking in my mind now.
That's the truth, man. If I was on TV, I was gashing my head for New Jack.
Yeah, exactly. I always wondered, I mean, I never had no problem with New Jack. I know a lot of guys has, in the past, but I never did. But I always wondered, man, if they would have took that darn cart and all his gimmicks away, I just wonder if he could have really survived in the ring.
No, because of that was like the Sandman. He had his gimmick, and New Jack had his. You take away the beer and the stick away from Sandman, he's just another guy. Yeah,
you're right. Man, New Jack coming in, and New Jack didn't really have much regard for your head either. He'd waylay you with him gimmicks too.
Yeah, you had to beware.
Yeah, you had to beware for sure. Ain't no doubt about that.
Heads up is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh. Ain't no doubt about that.
Hey, Rod, I was telling Gang the story when we were talking last week when we were setting everything up. That Gang started telling me about how he couldn't see real good without his glasses on. He's talking about a story about a guy that he was working with somebody, and the guy was like, "Hey, man, look how beautiful that woman is on the front row." And Gang's like, "I can't see that woman on the front row. What are you talking about?" So I was telling Gang about a story. I'm telling this because I had told you this one time.
Right.
I was in a 6-man with Gang, and he went to pull back a chair because he didn't realize it was me, and I had to literally yell while we were on the floor, "Gang, don't swing!" And he started laughing about the story. I remember telling you that, and you were like, "Yeah, you gotta be mindful of that."
Yeah.
When the glasses went off and Gang started squinting, everybody in the ring was nervous.
That's
Why we used to.
He may go crazy, grab a chair and hit all of us.
He used to have a running joke with Hacksaw Jim Duggan because he wore those big old glasses too. Him and I'd get in the ring and start beeping each other like trucks back up, beep, 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 so we could find each other. I'm telling you, man, it's horrible to be in the ring with bad vision. I don't know, it's just a horrible thing.
I can't see without my contacts on, so I couldn't imagine being in the ring.
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't do any. I was scared to do anything from the second rope or anything because I couldn't judge distance. I'd jump off of somebody with an elbow. I'd kill them. I just couldn't judge distance because if I look down at them and everything's just blurry, I can't really judge what's going on. So I always tried to keep close contact with everybody.
Oh yes, you did.
But it also made for a dangerous situation with fans too. I mean, if fans reach out for me or somebody comes at me with a knife or something like that, I have no idea. I can't see them, So that was always a dangerous situation in that respect. That's why a lot of times I would come out of the ring and grab a ringside chair and make my way back to the dressing room with a chair because just in case something happened on the way, at least I got a chair to protect myself.
Right.
Well, it's fun. It's funny you say that. Rod, I think you saw this video. I got video of you, gang, clocking a security guy with a chair because you thought he was somebody that was either a fan jumping the barricade or somebody that was working. I'm not gonna post it on your wall because I know you don't like that. But but Rod, have you seen that? I don't know if you commented on it when I put it on my page one day. But yeah, it's a security guy outside the ring.
I think I commented. Too bad it wasn't James Beard.
That dude, James was a heck of a referee, but man, he favored them baby faces.
Oh
man, he fast count you, and there you go to go to Florida to try to get a little break to catch some wind. He'd start fast counting you. Man,
oh boy!
You know, he's starting at 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy. Oh boy, where's James at? Let's get him to call in so he can defend himself.
Well, you know, if you look at all James' pictures, you know, he's always covered and smothered in baby face.
Always. The Hills couldn't do nothing, man. We'd try to get heat on somebody, he'd jump us right away, man. He'd be right in our faces.
It was like trying to get heat with Bronco out there. It just wasn't going to happen.
Somebody put something up about Bronco Lubitsch, and I made the statement. I said, "Man, Bronco hated to go down the count. We used to pull a rib on him. We'd go down for the cover for a 1-2. We'd kick out, and then we'd get back up, go back down 1-2. Bronco have to count. He got so mad, man. He hated us. Come on, guys, quit doing that, man. That ain't right. He got so bad he'd just count with his foot. He wouldn't even go down."
Yeah.
He just tapped his foot, 1-2.
He was mad at y'all.
Bronco was class, though. He was class act.
Absolutely.
Didn't he pass away?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
I thought it was I can't remember when, man. It feels like it's almost 10 years ago now, but who knows? I lose track of time. But
that's what I do, man. I'll see dates of when guys passed away, and I'm like, man, that much time's went by already. It's unbelievable.
I know.
It's crazy. But,
nah.
But
man.
We're talking about fans and stuff, man. I mean, back in Mid-South, Florida, places like Territory days, man, your car would get beat up. I've had my tires cut by fans. I've had, windshield broken by fans. Had junk thrown at my house and bottles thrown at my vehicle driving down the street, Almost hit Mary in the head one night, was leaving New Orleans, and somebody threw like a big giant Gatorade bottle, one of those glass ones before they had the plastic ones, and almost smashed in the side and come in the window and hit her in the head. If I wouldn't have pulled out of the lane and hit a car beside of me, I had to hit the car. It would have smashed in, smashed her. But it's just, fans were just insane. I'm telling you. I mean, they hated you and they didn't care. They was going to get you one way or the other.
Yeah.
What was some of the worst for both of y'all? What was some of the worst towns related to dealing with fans?
Worst towns for me back in the day was New Orleans at that downtown arena.
I knew you were going to say that.
Municipal
it's still bad.
Or whatever. That was probably the top of the list for me, was that place. It was just, once the matches were over and you went out back, it was just crazy with people throwing stuff at you and junk. And it wasn't that bad. It was still that bad in the arena, too. I mean, it was just that bad, too, especially if you was, say, in the main event with Junkyard Dog on a heated angle. It was really, really a dangerous place. Because, man, everybody at the Dome, everybody.
They love the dog, man.
Love JYD. And I ain't just talking about white people either.
No,
you talk. We talked about that. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it, but that this is true. Junkyard Dog wrestling traditionally was not a business where you had maybe a ton of African American fans or even African Americans in the sport. But JYD, he drew African American fans, and it's not racist to say that. He drew African American fans to the building in droves.
He honestly did.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we'd go up into Arkansas and Mississippi, some of those small little towns, and honestly, 95, maybe more than that, % of the house would be, African American people. you know.
Right.
And now, I mean, you just never really saw that anywhere. You may have, you know, wrestlers on your team or in that territory, like, you know, that's African American, but they just didn't draw, you know, their people like Junkyard Dog did. Junkyard Dog's people really came out and put money down to come and see him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And they you know, they loved that man. They'd get that chant going, you know, and all that for him. And, you know, well, heck, I mean, you ever watch his interviews, he'd get on there and talk about all that crazy stuff, ham hocks and this and that, you know, just.
Yeah.
And then people
Talking
love
the
that,
language.
man. Yeah, and people love, I mean, honestly love that. And people went crazy for that man. It's just, unless you know, unless you was out there or been in that area and seen that, you could say that, but I mean, them people honestly loved JYD.
Yeah. Yep.
They had an emotional investment in it.
They sure did, that's for sure. You ain't joking about that.
That's what drew them in, man.
Yeah, he did draw them in too.
Yeah, I mean, he could pass. I figured you were gonna say. I figured you were gonna say that building.
That's what made him so good too. He crossed both lines where he'd draw white people and he would draw African Americans also.
Right.
You know, he'd draw on everybody. You know, so when
Absolutely.
you do that, you selling some serious tickets.
You got that right.
Yeah. You know, if you're I say the lucky heel is lucky because, you know, you're going to make some good paydays from working with him, but unlucky because you got to fight all these fans every night. You know, it's just to get out of the ring, to get to the dressing room is just basically a fist fight sometimes, you know.
Good with the bad.
So
yeah, I had a feeling you were gonna say that building. Rob, what was like one for you?
I never had much love or connection with Oklahoma people for whatever reason, man. I just
well, look at yourself.
I had two police escorts out of Ardmore,
Oklahoma. People love you.
Well, I know they love Chris, and I broke Chris's ribs in Ardmore, Oklahoma. We were setting up for the show. Worked Friday night early. Went to Ardmore, Oklahoma. It was only, I don't know, maybe a couple hour shot up there, and he was pumping a tough man contest in one of these bull riding arenas. So, and they had a good house, and you know he was promoting that, and had it set up. I was going to go shoot in and jump, and you know it was supposed to be before the match got started, but time just didn't allow it. So the match had kind of started, wasn't really, you know, just in its infancy. And I shot in and I jumped on Chris. He was going to take some heat and do a little super kick and, you know, jaw and then set up for the next day. But I shot him in and happened to be in a boxing ring. And when Chris hit the ropes, man, he flew out of there like a bird and crashed right in the ground, right in a big old hump of clay and bull turds and whatever, and ended up breaking two of his ribs. Oh, and dude, I had to finish the tough man contest as a referee. Chris couldn't go on. I had heat with the two guys that were in the ring, all the fans that were around, and they were just waiting on me to, you know, make a bad call, do something, you know, just a little, and they were going to come in. I mean, they were at the gate. So I tried to.
Well, you saying you and Chris were working, but the tough man was actually a shoot match, not a work match.
Yep, tough man turned into a shoot.
No, I mean, that's what it was from the start, like a UFC shoot match, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's where I'm getting a little. I understand what you're saying, but I was saying, you know, I understand you were working, Chris, but I was saying as the tough man, that's a shoot match, not a work match, you know.
Right.
And you were refereeing it.
When that match was over, I had two Ardmore. Actually, I had two, and I had two deputies behind them, and they snatched me out of that ring, threw me in the back of their car, and my ride was right there next to us. He was in the middle, and they drove me all the way out to the state line.
Holy cow!
It was.
And they said never come back.
I had that experience with Kerry too.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I'd say that's some heat.
So what? After you threw Chris out and he broke his ribs, you didn't go out there and put the boots to him?
Dude, he was out in the middle of the crowd, and this crowd they were angry. They were angry.
So what happened to the finish of the
match?
Were surrounded.
They had surrounded the ring, and security had jumped in, and then the cops came in. And once it calmed down enough, that's when the cops snatched me and took me out.
So what was the finish of the match? A count out or something?
Yeah, disqualification.
Okay. So what? When you threw him in, the ropes broke, or just?
Well, you know how a boxing ring.
Yeah, they got those flimsy.
It's not tied to the turnbuckle. It's tied to the middle of the ropes.
Right.
And that's right where Chris is thinking, hey, I'm in a wrestling ring. Boy, he hit that and just plummeted.
Yeah, because Chris always hit the ropes really hard too.
Right.
Damn.
But it was it's a good experience for the young man.
Was that the early '90s, Rod?
Yeah. That.
About around that time.
I had South Africa was always a dangerous town. I'm sure Gang been in Durban before.
No, I never went there. To be honest, I never.
You never went to Durban? Oh
no,
my
man.
God.
Back. If I would have been Akeem, maybe, but I never went.
Gang never made it to South Africa.
No, I never made that. I never made that far. What was it like there? Well, what was it like in South Africa? I mean, was it
South Africa was
it was white people though. Isn't South Africa really like it's more white people, isn't it?
Yeah, but that was for the apartheid really took over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And man, it was just them fighting all the time.
Oh.
And everybody that was a regular local wrestler had at least one or two either stabs or slashes on him.
Holy cow!
Jeez.
It was.
And
they were telling me, hey, watch out for the knives. So I'm like, all right, these guys are ribbon.
I mean, what? You'd have to be getting some serious.
Then about four of them came up and showed me the scars, and I was like, okay.
Holy cow! I mean,
yeah, because naturally, Rod, you think somebody's ribbing you. You like, yeah, whatever, okay. These guys are pulling my chain.
Damn. Well, you're new in the territory, and they're going to come up. Hey, watch out for the knives. Everybody cuts you out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like you couldn't find anywhere safer to work in the world. You had to go there.
Well, they were paying.
You got a whole world to choose from.
You got to go where the money's at, Gang. Come on.
Well, that's true. I mean, if the money's good enough, if you survive. That's the thing. You got to survive first.
That was the if factor. And the promoter loved it because he may not have to pay you off.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I don't want to take that. That's the if factor. I want to know I'm coming home with something.
You got to live a little, buddy.
Hey, the one-man gang ain't that tough. That was just a gimmick, brother. I ain't out there fighting fans and, taking away knives and stuff. Mine was all gimmick. I couldn't beat nobody up.
I don't know about that. You look like you could hold your own.
No, it was all gimmick. I mean, if I get a hold of a chair, I can swing a chair, but it may not be at the right person. I mean, I might be out there knocking some old lady in the head with it. I don't know. I couldn't even tell. I wouldn't know the difference.
like I said, I got a security guard being knocked out.
So I don't know. I mean, Puerto Rico. I was invited to go early back, my early career to Puerto Rico, and by Dory Funk Jr. And I'd always heard, man, it's bad over there. So I turned him down, right away. So years later, I went over there, to work with Cologne and stuff, but it wasn't as bad, man. The fans, they keep the fans so far away from the ring. It's like, you know, they're like way out there. You don't even have like ringside seats. But they'd still chunk batteries and stuff like that at you. You know, they'd bring in like batteries and big old batteries you put in flashlights. They'd chunk.
Man, that hurts, man.
Boy, I'd kill you.
They kill you.
They'd sell them the M&Ms and Milk Duds before the match, and it was just a constant rain of M&Ms and Milk Duds during your match.
Yeah, it was always something. But I mean, actual hands-on and all that, I didn't have no problem like that in Puerto Rico. But just like I said, just batteries and basic, you know, stuff, you know. But back in the heyday, they say it was really bad over there with the fans. I passed on that. I didn't want to mess with that. But when I went back later, it wasn't bad. I had some good matches with Colon. You know, he was up in age, but it didn't matter to man. People in Puerto Rico loved Carlos Colon. It didn't matter. So he'd jump up and halfway do his little toe touch. You know, he didn't have really the legs to get up and do it much anymore, but he'd give it a little touch, and it still popped big for him. So that was
Did you go over there before and after Brody? What happened with Brody, or?
Oh yeah, this is way after the Brody incident.
Okay.
Yeah, this is way out. This is probably in the 90s, the late 90s.
Okay.
98, 99. It was after that, you know. But
I remember Rod. You were telling me didn't you go? I can't remember, Rod. Didn't you go like right after that happened?
Yeah, we were the first. We were the first Americans back over there after they killed Brody.
That's what I thought. And man, I told you, I was like, man, you're brave, man. I don't.
Well,
man,
the fans didn't kill him. I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
It was the actual, you know, the promoter or whoever the dude was there. You know, it wasn't somebody, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I
ain't saying nothing against nobody. You know, like I said, I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but you know, I'd been around Bruiser a lot, and Bruiser was he was kind of hard to get for promoters to work with. You know, it was his way or basically no way. You know.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way he was, and I don't know exactly what happened over there. I've heard stories or rumors, whatever, but he was hard for promoters to work with. I'll be honest about that.
That's all I've heard. That's all I've ever heard. You know, he was just hard to deal with, and when he was down there, they wanted to throw away, and he wanted to do it his. And however it went down, you know, it's moot anyway.
Yes.
But,
it's all now it's all history now. I hate to, you know, he could have been he was already a gigantic star, but I mean in Japan and places, but even in the States, he was, you know, a big-name star. But if he would have lived long enough for, you know, WWE and stuff like that, my gosh, he would have been gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have made a boatload of money if he would, you know, if he could have, you know, got along with Vince, which is probably hard to do.
Pretty much a hard thing in itself.
Yeah, exactly. For him especially, because he, like I said, he was his own man. He wanted it, you know, his way. So I doubt he would have survived too long up there. You're not gonna have it your own way working for Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I did want to ask you this, but it's not really a question, but I will. I love all the stuff you posting with you being Akeem. It's I gotta tell you, gang, your dance moves, greatest thing ever. Greatest thing ever.
Man, I don't even know where that come from. I just
great.
Well, it was like I said, I had a choice. I had to do that, or I'm gonna lose my job. If the character flopped, I'm fired. He didn't want.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
He didn't want one-man gang anymore because, you know, he said I was just too dull. The one-man gang was black and white and just didn't have no real color. He wanted a real colorful character that he could market. So, I mean, it was either I get this character over or I don't have a job. I mean, you know, heck, who wouldn't go out there and just do the craziest stuff you could imagine? You know, so I said, what am I going to do, you know? So I just went out flopping my arms around and whatever came to mind, that's what I did. Luckily, it clicked and it worked, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it definitely did. I enjoyed it, man. I like I said, I love looking at the old stuff. Rod, you were about to say something?
Yeah, when I was just going to say when One Man Gang died in WWF, went to Akeem, I think that's when the light started to dim a little bit for WWF.
Well, I mean, everybody there was
big man dance like that. What's wrong with that?
Come on, man. Everybody there was like a big, giant character. We were all just living cartoons.
Yeah,
that's what
true,
Vince wanted. He just wanted living cartoons. Everybody was a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why he came up with it. Nowadays, you probably really couldn't get away with something like that. You know, you got a black manager, and he's going to take this white man, and he shows him his roots and turns him black. And, you know, nowadays they probably protest and everything else, you know, but back then.
Yeah, you couldn't. We were Rod, my buddy Doc, that when you came on and did the Piper tribute for us, we were talking about the situation with you know, Akeem and how Vince did that. And yeah, I firmly believe if you tried to pull that off now, man, you'd have so much of a backlash from the public and social media. You couldn't do it. Like it wouldn't allow it. It would.
No.
Like we really believed that would happen.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, you didn't have back then. Yeah. Exactly. But no, gang, I'm serious, man.
I just had to do what I had to do. Luckily it got over with the people, and you know, and the only thing, man, you know, even now, me and Slick could talk about it and say he missed the boat. He should have turned me babyface instead of Big Boss Man. He turned Big Boss Man babyface. Come on, man, this is a darn dude from Georgia, you know, and all that, and he's gonna turn him babyface. Why didn't he turn me and Slick babyface? You know, I'm out there dancing away like a fool.
I didn't even.
People liking, you know, dancing with me and stuff, and then he turns Boss Man babyface, want to leave me as a heel. It didn't make sense. You imagine the marketing he could have had off Akeem, you know? I mean, he could have made a little Akeem hat.
You know what? Yeah, that's.
Could have had Akeem hats. Could have had Akeem.
Did Akeem make the cartoon strip?
Yeah. You could have done everything for Akeem. He goes with the Big Boss Man instead for some reason. Never did understand that, you know.
Oh my God, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, the dance did it all for me. The dance was just the thing. To see you do that dance, oh man.
That's what I'm saying. You imagine
that was beautiful.
Just like the Bushwhackers. I could have been just like them. I go out and do the Akeem dance, have the whole crowd up doing the Akeem dance. Just like the Bushwhackers did with their Bushwhacker walk.
Yeah.
You know, but for whatever reason, he didn't want to go that way with it. He wanted to keep me as the heel, so didn't have no choice. I was the heel.
Yeah, you do what you do to earn your paycheck, right?
Yeah, you have to. You ain't got a choice. What are you going to do?
Really.
You either do it or you go find another job. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, people always asking me, man, I wouldn't have done that. Why'd you do that? Well, it was my job. I had to do it. I didn't have a choice. I was not given a choice. Basically, this is a quote from Vince McMahon. George, I have a spot in my company for Akeem, but I don't have a spot for One Man Gang anymore. So what are you going to do? Of course you're going to dance your ass off.
That's right. I mean, yeah. Hey, look, I never got a phone call like that. I mean, but if I would have, I'd have been like, sure.
It wasn't a phone call. This was in person.
Well, yeah. I mean, anything, right? Same thing. That's what I mean. If somebody would ask me, sure. What do you want me to do? I'll do the dance.
Of course.
I don't blame you.
You know, I was nervous.
What you gonna do?
I was scared. I was had trepidation about it. I'd never been really another character besides One Man Gang, you know, just a big nasty heel. And here I am. He's wanting me to go like a whole darn 360 and be a character, a whole new character, you know. So, and they didn't really I didn't get no pointers or he made the costume and all that. All that was made for me by the office, you know. WWF made all that. But I didn't give it, have any pointers on, well, you should talk this way or, we want you to do this or that out there. All that just came, I just had to come up with that and just go out there and see what I could do, if it would work or not. And that's basically what I did. And luckily, luckily it worked. It was just luck. It was basically all just luck.
I don't think it was luck. I think it was talent.
No, it was just
Slick had showed him a couple of moves. Akeem would have never lived.
I tell you the hardest thing. Here's a rib they used to pull on me all the time, man. Once Akeem got established, they came. The road agents told me, said, well, you got to keep dancing as long as the Jive Soul Bro plays. We want you to dance. So okay, ain't no problem. I'd go out. Me and Slick would always be the first one out, usually, because we're the heels. Babyface come in second, so we go out. And, man, them dirt agents, some road agents behind the scenes would play that song, and they would play it for 5-10 minutes sometimes. They were, and they'd be there laughing their butts off behind the scenes. I'd be out there so blowed up by the time the babyface got there, I couldn't do anything. This went on every night. They'd do that to me. And, man, them darn people in the back, the boys, and everybody was just laughing away. They loved it every night. Let that song play. Let it keep going. Man, that's what makes wrestling fun, though, man. You just have fun with each other. I didn't get mad at them. I knew, but you just have fun with the guys. I mean, especially when you change when you change from a white man and you Akeem, the African Dream, you imagine what you're gonna get. My God.
That's that's almost like a rib in itself. So I can only imagine. That would be.
I wrote up there on that. I told a story about it. About me changing, and my very first TV when I came out of the dressing room, I'd fully dressed as Akeem to go do my promo shots. Man, all the boys started busting on me so bad. It's like, hey, we got a brand new Negro wrestler in the company. And another guy would be
oh my God.
Another guy would say, hey, look out, here comes Chef Boyardee, because that big giant hat I had to wear. Then somebody else
that hat.
Hey, Akeem, we got chicken on the buffet today. Then another guy told me, hey, Akeem, didn't I see you last week on Soul Train? Oh, man. I mean, what are you going to do,
I can't believe it.
Really.
We're so insensitive.
Yeah, exactly. How could it be that way? Then one night I come in the dressing room, and old Bushwhacker Luke has my dashiki, that big old yellow shirt. He has it on doing the Bushwhacker Luke walk around the dressing room. Hey, matey, I'm from New Zealand. With my Bushwhacker thing on, all the way down to his feet almost. He's doing the Bushwhacker walk with that thing on.
Because he ain't even 6 feet tall, right? He's got that thing on, and it's made for somebody your height.
It just covers him all the way up. He's doing the
it looks like a robe.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Well, you just laugh. What are you going to do? That's basically what kept you sane.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah. And
I mean, if you didn't have fun,
that's part of it.
Yeah, if you didn't have fun, you just go totally insane. You would just,
absolutely.
That's what makes it fun. That dressing room time. That's mainly what I miss, is just the dressing room time with the boys. That's what I miss. I mean, I love the ring part too, and the travel I don't miss at all. I'll just be honest, I don't miss the travel, but the ring part of actually getting in there and having a good match and whatever, and then the dressing room part with the boys just BSing in the back and all that. I really miss that, but so it is what it is. You know.
Yeah, you spend so much time with them. And then, man.
Yeah, it's like a family, basically. I mean, we were all just basically a big family. You spent more time with the guys than you really did with your real family.
Absolutely.
So that's just the way it was, though. And it was hard. I ain't gonna say it wasn't hard. It was hard. It was hard on you, road travel and all that was really hard on you. But, I mean, it was just one big family. Every night it'd be something different. You never knew what it could be. So, I mean, I had a good time. I had a good career. Luckily I made it in I got into business and still plenty of time to enjoy the territories, before they all shut down because of Vince. So I hit every one of them except for West Coast. I never made out to Portland or anywhere like that, but on the southern end, I hit them all. I was in Mid-South, World Class over there. I hit the Mid-Atlantics up in the Carolinas. I hit Florida for Dusty, and so I was all over the place. Luckily.
Yeah,
I tell like guys
that trying to break in now.
Say what?
Yeah, this is a different world, right, Rod?
Somebody trying to break in now. Where you go work?
Exactly right. Unless you can get into the WWE training centers or whatever they got going on, or unless you just want to do your little weekend independence. That's all there really is. There's really nowhere for anybody to work anymore. You might have NWA, something or another. I don't know what they run, but different NWA groups are still out there, but you got Impact or whatever it's called, and you got that Hall of Fame, Hall of whatever it's called. I don't know anymore. But
Ring of Honor, isn't it?
Ring of Honor, there you go. But for full-time work where you can actually learn the craft and, night after night after night, there's just really nothing left anymore.
No, because even the ones you mentioned, none of those are running, 4 or 5 nights a week.
No, not at all. Maybe weekends, Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday, if that.
Right.
So even WWE, I think they do the Mondays, and Tuesday, but then I think then they just go out for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe if that, They really do more international stuff now. They go overseas a lot. But
you gotta go where the money is, man.
That's crazy.
If you ain't drawing if you ain't done burned it out in the States, go to international,
Yeah.
They packing places over there. First time we went to Europe and Italy with them, man, it was sold out stadiums everywhere we went, But they'd never been over there before either, so.
Yeah.
I went over as Akeem. That was my first, went over as Akeem. I didn't make it one-man gang. They really wasn't doing no international then, but they tried one international, see how it worked, and they saw how good it was going to be. Then they started booking them all the time. Then I went to...
once you see it successful, it's time to go back.
Yeah. Then in World Class, we went over to Middle East. We went to Israel, Tel Aviv, and places over there. That was a madhouse. It was like, at that particular time, World Class was the only wrestling they got. They didn't get WWF or any other TVs. World Class was the only syndicated show that they received over there. So we got there. It was like Elvis Presley coming in or something. It was just people lined up at the airport and in the hotels, people all over the place. They actually had to post armed guards at the hotel with machine guns and all kind of stuff, So that was just a crazy tour over there, with Devon Eriks. I went. Michael Hayes was on it, and Missy Hyatt, and, several other people, and it was just insane over there. Stadiums were packed like you'd see on a soccer game or something. It was just crazy. I never seen nothing like that. They wasn't violent now. They wasn't violent. They just wanted to touch you, just touch you and whatever, shake your hand or whatever, It was just like I said, it's basically like you was Elvis Presley or something.
Yeah, the power of TV.
You're a rock star.
A rock star, power of TV, exactly. You got to imagine this is the only wrestling TV these people see. They don't see WWF. They don't see, Atlanta or any other wrestling. The only wrestling they're seeing week after week after week is world-class championship wrestling. So you can imagine, when you actually go there live, live and in person on a tour, holy cow. Luckily, I got to be on it.
Yeah, they almost look at the wrestlers like they're gods almost at that point. I remember reading a story about that, the trip over there and everything, and it's crazy, man. How like you said, the fans, that's all they got. They weren't getting TBS or anything else where they could watch anything else. That's what they got. So that's what they enjoyed.
I
try to tell.
Huh? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was trying to tell a buddy of mine one time about he's young. He's like 25 years old, and he don't remember the territories because there wasn't. I guess
Pretty
my
much
generation.
Just about everybody's that way nowadays. They just
Absolutely.
The new fans are just too young. They don't remember territories. They can watch YouTube videos, but they don't know nothing about it. You know, that's why I said
no, you can't appreciate it just from YouTube. Mm-mm.
No, there's so many.
You'd have to live it. You'd have to live it.
There's so many great workers that time is just kind of pushing to the side, and I hate that. I mean, there's a lot of guys that work territories that were really, really good workers. I mean, it's just pitiful nowadays. If you ain't on WWE or whatever, people don't even know who you are or what you ever done in your career,
Right.
It's just a pitiful thing. I just hate that, too, because, man, so many good guys from territory days, that didn't actually make it out of the territories to make it to a WWF or whatever. Man, that just bugs me for some reason. I don't know.
Well, no, it's because you can appreciate the fact, and Rod can too, can appreciate the fact that the talent that just was never seen because they never got that exposure on that big scale, I guess TV you'd call it, and they kind of fall by the wayside. It's sad because Rod, you used to tell me about that all the time, just the different guys that should have gotten more, I guess you'd call it publicity and more exposure, and you just really they just weren't on that WWE TV, WWF TV to get it once the territory started to die down.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of guys. One of the guys, Gary Young, man. You talk about a guy that had everything.
Oh yeah, I know Gary Young.
And it's like I just one of those guys. I just sit back and go, "What happened? Why not?" Yep.
You're right. There's a lot of guys just same way too. You always just wonder why. Why didn't they do this or that with him or whatever? But well, like you said, Gary was a heck of a hand. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just never could get. I don't know what it was. They just never wanted to really go with him. They did a few little things, but just never really popped him big. I don't know what happened.
Right.
But
it's bad, man.
Yeah, well, I'm saying. I mean, I've been around forever, and people now basically go back to memory-wise as WWF, and that's it.
Right.
Past that, they don't even think I had a career. I go on Facebook, I tell people.
Oh no, I do. I know.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I get there and tell people, man, I did have a career before WWF. I was around a long time before WWF. They just think that, I just got into wrestling when I went to the WWF. That's where I just miraculously appeared or something. They honestly don't have no idea you had a career before that. That's crazy, ain't it?
It's crazy because, man, you like I said, I remember the Mid-South days. I remember World Class days from you. But that's fans nowadays. That generation of only think that's all there is.
That's that brainwashing from Vince.
The whole generation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's him brainwashing everybody. I mean, now he's got that network going on. It kind of puts people back in the limelight. But for a long time, he was trying to just make people forget that anybody else had wrestled before WWF. He just didn't. Yep. He didn't want to have guys to have a career before that. Just like me or anybody else, when we come in WWF, if I'd already wrestled Dusty Rhodes, say, years before or anywhere else, I couldn't get on TV and say, man, Dusty, I've chased you all over here or there, whatever. I wasn't allowed to say that. It was a brand new match. You know what I'm saying? It was like we'd never met before, which of course wasn't true, but we had to act that way on promos and stuff like we'd never met before. Isn't that just crazy?
It is. They did it recently when.
But, I mean, they did
it with Sting. They did it with Sting when they brought Sting back. They never even mentioned that he, was in TNA for all that time. It was
of course,
the last 14 years of his career just were not. Yeah. So I mean, but and the thing with the network too, gang, you're talking about that. Since he almost owns, I guess I don't know if I'm being accurate, but he almost owns every library that's out there, so he can upload all that onto the network. So now people, they pull it up, and they're still going to associate, even though it's world-class championship wrestling from, the 70s and 80s, they're going to associate that with the network.
In the corner, WWE.
That's right.
So they're going to associate it with WWE. He does own
right.
that every film.
When
I think Bill Watts was one of the last holdouts. Mid-South was one of the last holdouts because Bill's wife had the library. She got it in the divorce years ago. And I guess eventually they made a deal for it, and she sold it to him, so he got all that. That's a lot of darn. I mean, every territory is a lot of tape, Mid-Atlantic or Florida or Memphis or whatever. I mean, you imagine, you're talking about probably, I couldn't even imagine how much. It's just insane. He owns every bit of it.
That's a tremendous amount of hours.
I mean, basically any territory.
It's a lot.
Any territory that's been around, he pretty much owns the library to it now.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
He may not own, Japan or, all Japan or something like that yet, but, I mean, all United States territories, I pretty much from coast to coast, he pretty much owns every one of their libraries. I think he does, really.
I believe he does.
No, you're right. He does. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that he had got Mid-South now. I didn't know that one was under his.
Yeah. He purchased that probably, I think maybe 2 years ago or maybe last year. Then so right after he purchased it, he come out with Legends of Mid-South or whatever it's called, DVD. Which luckily I'm on it, a couple of matches, so I got a little royalty from it. He gave me a few pennies here and there. But it had all the main stars, JYD and all them guys on it.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah, that's why he can keep making those DVDs. He comes out with a new DVD, every month or every week almost on something. They had the world class.
Well, when you got a couple of million
of world class wrestling, and they had ECW tapes and everything, because he owns that too. So.
Yep.
Hey, one last question before I let y'all go, because y'all done gave me enough time, and I can ask for no more. One, gang, before we get off this thing. Before we get off this thing, gang, I know you said you usually don't do these, so I really appreciate it. Rod, I appreciate you hooking it up and helping me out and convincing the one-man gang to do it.
I would have never done it for you, Bill, if it wasn't for Rod. Rod's more traveling partner.
I can live with that.
Rod's more traveling partner,
I can live with that.
Yeah. You got to give the credit to him, Bill.
I will.
Thank you, gang, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, so, Rod.
Yes.
Hey, Rod, I kept getting the question, like when you were on the show afterwards, they said I didn't ask you anything about Gary Hart. So while I got you on the line, if you can share anything about Gary Hart, I don't know what they wanted me. They just said I didn't ask you anything about Gary Hart and, the kind of guy he was, because he had this great mind and whatnot. So anything you want to share about Gary Hart, go ahead and and tell me.
Gary showed me so many things. I mean, he showed me how the business was and how it really worked, and a lot of ins and outs. And of course, I had a lot of people that did that for me. I was truly blessed in the business that way. But with Gary, it's just a little different because Gary, when he would tell you about it, it would just open up. He would say, "This is how they're going to run this, and this is what we need to do." And if we do a certain angle this way, it'd be good, but it'd be better if we did it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And he would explain how. And it was amazing the knowledge that man had, and I can't believe that the way they were throwing around money, and that's at that time that somebody just didn't throw more money at Gary and say, "Here, take the ball and run." Because if anybody could have had a more successful territory, it would have been him.
Yep, you're right. No doubt about
and
that.
I'm talking, you know, right after, I guess, World Class and USWA and all that, and then you had the Global. But he did the Metroplex Arena and had a little run at it, and it was good, but he just really didn't have the financial backer to do what he wanted to, and he was very successful with what he was doing, but you know, that money dries up quick, and then, you know, instead of bringing in talent, you're staying with the local talent. People, you know, same old faces, so they stopped coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about Gary was I traveled a lot with Gary because he was my manager, but man, it wasn't just, you know, I mean, he was a genius about wrestling, but he, other than that, he was just an all-around, well-read person. You could talk any subject. It didn't have to just be wrestling. He could talk, you know, hours on any subject you wanted to talk about. Civil War, it didn't matter. He knew everything, you know, and on road trips, you know, that's what we'd do. We'd just we'd talk about every subject up and down the line, you know. It was very, very seldom we talked about wrestling, but he was an intelligent man, you know. People may not know that about him, but he was well read.
Amazing.
And when I was there with him, he was one of the few managers that I ever had. I had a lot of managers in my career. He was one of the few that actually would go into the office and suggest angles to try, you know, because if I make money, that means Gary's making money.
Right.
He would go to, you know, he would go to Fritz. He wouldn't, you know, just go to Ken Mantell was the booker, but he wouldn't go to Ken. He'd go straight to Fritz because, you know, him and Fritz was, you know, tight with each other. So he goes straight to Fritz and go, man, I got this angle, you know, why don't you have one-man gang and Kerry Von Erich do this or that on TV? And, I mean, you know, so he'd go in there and promote angles, and of course it would come back to me, and I would get to carry it out, and then, you know, me and Gary would make good money. He'd do that all the time, you know, trying to do that for me. So, you know, managers usually didn't do that. I didn't have really any that did that. He was the only one that ever went in and talked, you know, and did that.
Would actually go to bat for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Most managers just went with the program, whatever was going on, you know, they just wrote it out and took what they took, you know, but Gary went in there and spoke up, you know, tried to get some angles going to keep you in the mix so you wouldn't be pushed down, you know. He wanted to stay up in those main events. So, you know, to me, that's a very smart businessman.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but he was a super guy. I knew him, his family, his wife, you know. I knew all of them, you know, and man, he was such a nice man, you know. I'd pick him up at where he lived at, and we'd make our road trips and talk away, you know, forever. Man, when I heard he passed away, I couldn't believe it.
Right.
You know, that's what, you know, not just him, but a lot of guys, man. When I heard Tommy Rogers had passed away, you know, I was like, man, that can't be, man. Tommy Rogers, or that's anybody. Every time I hear somebody's name, I'm like, man, I can't believe it.
Right.
You know, it's just horrible.
Rod, Rod, you and I talked about that because I knew I met Tommy, you know, at that time when you were, and Tommy was really nice to me when I met him. He's just a real good guy, seemed, and man, I couldn't believe that. I knew he was, you know, he like wasn't in there. He had, you know, some different things going on, but you don't expect somebody as young as he was to just, you wake up and you're like, here he passed away. It's crazy.
That's another.
Yeah, it was sad.
That's just another example of talent that never really, you know. Yeah, they had their times, you know, in different territories, you know, as a team. But he was really a super talent that never really got pushes he really deserved, I believe.
Right.
You know, that's what I think anyway. You know, they were great as a team, but I mean, he could really do it as a single too, and never really got that chance to prove it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a great guy. So, great guy, man. I've been around him a couple of times. He just was
really nice guy.
He was really, really nice.
Just had demons like a lot of guys, you know.
You bet.
And once you get caught by them demons, it's hard to knock it away.
Yep.
You know. So
That's right.
That's the bad side of. of life, or even, I don't know, I ain't going to say just professional wrestling, but I guess all aspects of life, whether you're a celebrity or whatever you are, I guess, you got those demons that get a hold of you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, it's everything. That's right. I mean, Rod, you played in the NFL. You we talked about it there. You got some of the same stuff there. That's every walk of life.
Did Rod
absolutely.
Tell you about him getting scalped like an Apache Indian scalped him back in his day? Did he ever tell you that story?
I think
we covered.
I think I know what you're talking about, but
209 stitches, gang.
I don't.
What'd you get? 750 stitches? Staples? What was it again? How much?
209.
Now it's 2. Okay. Well, I don't know. Every time I hear the story from you, you keep going up on me. I mean, it started out.
Wait, Rod.
It started at 6, wasn't it?
What story? Rod? What story is this? I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't want to say it if you don't want me to say it.
What do you mean not say it? He's got his head pulled off.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I heard.
They pulled his scalp off like some Apache Indian was down scalping him.
Yeah.
I thought it was back.
That's what I thought you were talking about, but I didn't. Yeah, I thought. So it was 206 stitches. That's the final confirmation.
It was 6. 209. I'll take it to my grave. 209.
Started out like 50. Next month he said we'd talk about it again. It went up to 100. Next month we talk about it. It went to 200. Now it's at 209. So officially we're going to say 209.
If you go to the shootout, I'll just probably round it off at like 210.
Well, so now we're going to stick with 209.
209.
I still ain't really understood how
we're
that
at 209.
Happens. I understand what the dude. He just grabbed your head, or what? What was going on? How did this even happen? I mean, tell me the real story now. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, it was Chris Adams and being Chris Adams, He had him and Tony were really battling it out. And he was, at that time, man, he was just not a nice person. It was drinking too much and doing other things that he shouldn't be doing. And, just for whatever reason, I guess I was the sacrificial lamb that night. But, but once again, I kind of fed that in with talking about people that are past, but
well, that's just about everybody. I mean, you can't hardly tell a story without somebody past.
No, Rod. Well, I mean, Rod, in your defense, you talked about that well before that happened. I remember you telling that story, and I was like, "What?" And you were like, "Yeah, you hadn't heard that." I can't remember if you had. It was me and a bunch of other guys around there.
Well, go ahead.
No, I never knew that one.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Go ahead, Rod.
I still don't know the fact.
Well, I mean, we were doing a judo match, and just went out of the ring, and out of nowhere, man, he just decided to lean over and hook me by the head, and I thought he was gonna grab my head and pull me in. And
this is back when you had hair, right?
Yeah. And then it was like, next thing I knew, man, and it kind of, it put me in a shock because I knew it was stitched in, and I barely made it outside, man. That's when the floodgates opened.
Dang.
And ended up going to Parkland Hospital. I sat down there, and the girl I was with at the time, she walked right past the treatment room, because she didn't recognize me. I was covered from head to toe in blood.
Holy cow!
And she didn't know who I was.
So it just, when he reached down, he just basically just ripped your scalp off.
Yeah.
Holy cow! They take any good promo shots?
Oh yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Holy cow! Would you come back and do like an angle off of it or anything? I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you heal up, I mean, you come back, hey, man, look what you did to me, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Yeah,
I have never heard of anybody that happened to that in my life. That's the first time ever. Then again, there you go. I mean, he's the one man that would go into a mini mart with a Kotex taped to his head. So
there you go.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard way Rod Price right there.
That's right. There's only one way to do it, and that's the hard way.
Only one.
That's insane.
Only one way.
Crazy. Wow.
That's nuts.
That is crazy.
Oh man.
I've heard of some crazy stuff in pro wrestling, but that's probably right there at the top, somebody getting scalped. I mean, that's a shoot. I ain't joking. I mean, that's a...
No. It sounds brutal, though. I mean, it sounds as brutal as what he explaining.
Sounds horrible to me. I don't even want to think about it, you know. It makes me cringe thinking about that happening. That'd be horrible. I probably would have died like a little girl or something. I'd been bawling my eyes out. He probably just walked on out, bleeding everywhere. Oh, let's just go to the hospital. I don't care.
Let's go. Yeah, where's the Kotex?
Band-Aid, I'll fix it. Give me some super glue. I'll glue my head back on. Probably holding his darn scalp in his hand. You know, God, it don't matter. I'm Rod Price. Just give me something. I'll stick it back on.
Rod Price.
Give me a hat.
Kotex and super glue. I'll take care of this.
Give me a hat to hold it down till I get to the hospital.
Jeez. Goodness.
What did the hospital do? I mean, like when you went in there like that, how did they react?
They rushed me in the emergency room, and they had to call a neurosurgeon out of surgery to come down and stitch my head.
So, I mean, like, what are you telling these doctors? Doctor, this dude pulled my scalp off.
Yeah.
Is that basically what you said?
Yeah, he was like, well, maybe you might not want to wear that anymore. I was like, did you have to go to school to learn that?
Now, you had like a little hair thing sewed in, right?
Right.
Would you have been bald or just like kind of a Hulk Hogan look or something?
Yeah, maybe back then it wasn't so prominent that it is.
I understand. So you had this little piece sewn into your scalp, like one of those places you go to and they fix you up. And then, I get it now, you reached over. I was always thinking you just reached over and just ripped your scalp up, but I understand.
No.
Okay. Now I understand.
It wasn't like Jim Bowie with a knife or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking. He reached over and pulled, pulled really hard, and it just ripped your scalp up, or something. But now I can see how it could happen, with that sewn into your scalp that way. I can see how it could happen now.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you, answering my question there. Now I know what happened. How long was you out of commission with it?
George, we go back a ways. So, I could have answered this a while back.
I know, but I just never really inquired about it too much. Well, how long was you out of commission?
Good. I think about 4 or 5 weeks.
Man, what was here I'm doing the interview. Bill over there ain't doing anything. I'm over here running the interview.
Well, go ahead. You were the expert witness in Baton Rouge. So
what was Chris Adams' reaction when this happened?
I really didn't know.
You was in shock. You probably don't even know, right?
Yeah. Well, until the next day. He called me every day for 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, okay. So he did feel bad about it, huh?
That's what he told me.
Okay.
I just have to believe it.
Yeah. Well, at least that's good. He did check on you and make sure it was all good. So, that's one good point in his favor.
Oh, absolutely. And again, Chris had his demons and this and that, but Chris wasn't all bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. I like Chris Adams. I didn't have any trouble with him at all. I really liked him. He was a nice guy.
Right.
But like when you went out to the matches, you didn't tell the guys, hey, kind of lay off of my head here and blah blah blah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a big inside trader secret or anything.
Right. But
everybody,
just this one
everybody
match.
that I worked with knew.
Yeah. It just happened this one match. He just reached and tugged on it a little too hard.
For whatever reason. Yeah, for whatever reason.
Well, for whatever reason. Like you said, he may not have been himself that night.
No, I know he was dealing with a lot of personal issues at that time.
Right. Now, when you say you was having a judo match, like y'all had judo gis on and all that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and y'all were like, basically for the match, y'all would be like doing flips, trying to flip each other like you do in judo or something. And I just ain't never seen a judo match in professional wrestling, so I'm just trying to get the understanding of what, how it came about. What was the angle to bring it about?
Well, right, and that's what we were doing. It was going to be, the idea was to do the judo holds, let Chris Porcuta get the upper hand and
what brought
turn
it
the
about?
heel.
What happened on what did you do on TV to bring an angle about to book a judo match? I mean, you challenged him or something, or what was the deal?
I think at that time, gang, at the way that Global was going, that a lot of the people that were there because it was local, and some of them didn't have any other outlets. I had going to Japan was my outlet.
Right.
That was my money maker.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time it had flip-flopped so many times, and I think that was like maybe 94, because I know right after that, I think the next year is when I went to Europe.
Right.
But it was just, hey, come in, let's try a judo match.
Okay.
There was no build-up, there wasn't no...
okay. You just went in cold with it. You didn't have no angle behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of mentioned and pushed on TV, on the interviews, but as far as building up to the angle and doing it right, no.
Oh, okay. I see now. That wasn't when, you ever heard that guy, Joe Pedicino and all them? Were they running it then, or who was running it then?
That was after Joe. That was Gray Pearson.
Okay, I don't know him. Well, what was it when... What was it when Jarrett's took over? What was it called then? Stampede or something? When the Jarrett's come in?
USWA, Rod?
Yeah, they went back to that.
I don't know.
That was after World Class.
Yeah, right after World Class, Jarrett and them come in, changed to something else. I don't know, USWA, you say?
Right. USWA.
Yeah.
You was there? Was you in there for them then?
Yeah, that's when I was tagging with Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You were tagging with Steve Austin. How was tagging with him? I mean, did it work out good for you as a team, or what was it like?
I thought Steve and I were doing as a tag team. We were still learning our trade, but it was going really good, and both of us had something to give.
Right.
And it just
Austin not having any idea what his future held, right?
Absolutely not, man.
That's insane.
I think I told Mike I was push starting his car.
Man.
Yep.
If you could have just hooked a chain onto that and tagged along.
Yeah.
Man. Now you don't even know who you are.
He's like, who?
Rod who? I ain't never heard of him.
You told me that story, Rod, and James told me that story about pushing his car off to head to Atlanta for WCW.
See, everybody don't.
That's crazy.
Big name stars. I don't care who you are. Undertaker, Steve Austin, Triple H. We all started somewhere.
That's right.
We didn't start
right.
Nobody started at the top. Everybody started somewhere.
That's right.
Man, Undertaker worked for a 3 years just battling it out, down there in Atlanta and different places, Memphis and wherever, till he got to WWF, you know. So
yeah.
It just the way the stars fell, you know what I'm saying? It's just the way it was.
Lined up somehow for them, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever happens to make things happen, you know, it's just it's just the way it goes. Luckily, you know, like I say, for Undertaker, Austin, or whoever, everything just lined up perfect, you know, and it ended up being what it is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine pro wrestling without a Stone Cold Steve Austin in it, or Undertaker? Right. I mean, you know, it just, what would be there if they wasn't there? You know what I'm saying? You know, what if?
Absolutely.
What if Austin would have got hurt down there and couldn't have had a career or something, and never had a Stone Cold Steve Austin? Come on, man. You imagine never hearing that glass break and him stomp out there and 10,000 people, you know, and him shooting a bird and drinking beer and all that, man.
Yep. You think they would have gave it to Sandman earlier?
Yeah, he stole that gimmick, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so, man.
Drinking the beer. He didn't smoke, but he drank the beer. Drank 4 or 5 of them. But Austin, you know, I don't know. I don't know the Undertaker or nothing. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm just saying, but Austin deserved it. He worked his ass off in the ring every night.
Yeah, I did.
You know, I don't care where he was at, when he was in WCW or whatever, man. That dude worked hard out there.
Yep. Couldn't get above the Ric Flair pay grade over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You're right. Because
isn't that crazy though?
Well, for a while I thought there was you know, because he had that blonde hair, there was, you know, thinking, well, oh man, people mix him up with Hulk Hogan and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
So, you know, when he went to finally got his deal to go to WWF, they shaved that head off, you know, had a little crew cut, you know, calling him the whatever it was, Games Master or some kind of gimmick name.
He was a ringmaster.
Ringmaster?
Ringmaster.
Yeah. And then when he worked against Jake the Snake, you know, in that one match, and that's when he cut that promo, and that's when it popped. You know, so awesome. That's just amazing, man. How history, you know, how close history can change.
You bet. You're absolutely right, man.
We done got so far off the subject, it's pitiful. I'm over here doing the interview. The interview guy's just sitting over there listening.
He's taking a nap, and George and I are just having
He's done left the conversation. He's done went in there and fixed him a ham sandwich and everything. Me and Rod's still talking, isn't
I was taking notes, and I was actually trying to get the Legend Killer to dial in to the podcast tonight. The Minotaur. I was trying to get the Legend Killer to call in.
Oh man,
no, I'm kidding, man. I was trying to get the Legend Killer.
I don't want to talk to him. He ended my career.
That's right.
That's why I was trying to get him to dial in because of his. I'm messing with him. He can get mad at me. His carelessness. But
I mean, I don't know. He might weigh. I don't know what he weighs. 230, 240. I ain't sure. Oh man, that's like picking up 1,000 pounds when you try to body slam that man. I ain't never seen nobody not want to take a body slam like Minotaur. That is just
next thing I knew, Gaines coming back in hurt. I was like, what happened?
Yeah. I talked to him last week. I was like, what did you do to Gang? He said, oh man, he went to pick me up and his back gave out. But it wasn't on my fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't say it wasn't your fault, huh? That's not the story I hear.
Pounds. You ever try to pick up 1,000 pounds when you think it ain't going to be 1,000? You thinking in a body slam, you just going, you know, most guys, we just ride up and boom, we body slam them. Ain't no problem. Man, that dude was like he had darn bricks in his butt or something. I don't know what his deal was.
What? There was no push-off, Gang? He didn't help you out a little bit or nothing? Huh?
Man, if he helped me out, it sure wasn't much. Or maybe that's what he thought.
Comment.
Maybe that's what he thought this, was helping. I'm doing good, and then I go to scoop him up for a slam. It's like he's got 1,000 pound of bricks stuck up his butt. Man, my back blew out. It popped and everything. Made all kind of horrible noises. And that was it. I went to my knees. It was all over with. He crippled me. That was my career right there.
Yep.
He goes, well,
there you go.
I'll let you take my mask off. I'm like, well, everybody knew who you were anyway. It didn't matter. They all knew who you were under that mask. I mean, what big deal was that?
Oh, this is good.
Take pictures with it on or off anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly.
This is good.
I wanted to get out from under the mask. I'll let you be the one take it off. Man, everybody knew who you were anyway. That's Brian Falcon. We know you. Well, what? He'd walk to the ring and all the fans out there would be going, hey, Falcon, Brian Falcon, that's you. I mean, he's got that big old tattoo on the side of his arm. He couldn't hide it for nothing. I mean, so he gives me, I'm gonna let Gang be the one to take it off. But then he ends up crippling me.
For sure on that.
Yeah. He ends up crippling me, so who gets the better deal? He gets to go around bragging that he crippled one-man Gang and put him out of wrestling. My big brag is, I got to take the mask off the Minotaur.
And everybody goes, who? You mean Brian Falcon?
Yeah, you mean Brian Falcon? Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, dude, that was funny. Yeah, you got me over here laughing my tail off.
I messed with him, but he was heavy, though. I admit that. He was heavy. Either he was heavy or I was awful weak. One of the two. I don't know, but...
Oh, man. He said, no, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault, I promise. I said, that's not what I heard, Falcon. Oh, no, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I said, I heard from eyewitnesses it was your fault. I was messing with him, pulling his leg.
It was his fault. All the way, 100% his fault.
So everybody gets to hear it here, what finally happened to the one-man Gang and why he's no longer walking to the ring. Thank you, Brian Falcon.
Well, I can't even step up into a wrestling ring anymore. Right there.
That's a damn shame.
I told him, go ahead and tell everybody. I don't care. I'll let you have that one. Go in the ring and cut your little promos down there at your New Orleans little shows and tell them straight up, hey, I'm the man that put out the one-man Gang, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead. Tell them straight up, do it. I don't want to do that. I was like, I would if I was turned around. I would tell them straight up. If I put you out of wrestling, I'd brag about it.
The Legend Killer.
The Legend Killer right there.
The Legend Killer. You might as well just change his name from the Minotaur to the Legend Killer.
I don't know what his gimmick is. He can't make his mind up.
No,
one week he wants to be the Minotaur, then the next week he wants to go back to Falcon, then the next week back to the Minotaur. This dude can't make his mind up what gimmick he wants to use. He's got to make his mind up eventually. I'm serious.
He's just testing the waters. He's trying to find out what's going to work.
Well, he's been trying the waters for about 10 years now?
A little longer than that.
I don't know. He's been in it forever. So, man, he's never could settle down to one gimmick. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't know. It was funny though when I unmasked him. I took the mask back to the dressing room with me. His daughter come over there asking for the mask. I said, I ain't giving you this mask. I unmasked that man. I told her, I said, don't you know the rules in pro wrestling? I took his mask off. I get to keep this mask. I'm gonna go home and display it on my mantelpiece. And she's like, no, come on, give him his mask back. I said, I ain't no way. I took this mask. That's the rules of pro wrestling. She was about to start crying, I think.
Oh, good job, gang. Good job.
I let him. I sent it back. I said, here, take the stupid thing. Go on, get back over
there.
Yeah,
he blew his nose in and sent it back here.
Yeah, wipe my butt with it.
Wipe your butt, wipe the Rod Kotek's head, give it back to him. There you go.
She thought I was shooting with her, though. And she was like, ooh, like, really? Yeah, that's the rule of pro wrestling. I'm mask, man. I get to keep the mask.
Oh man, that's pretty good. No, that's good old Falcon killing the legend. Hey, gang, I do have a question. I got a question for you, non-wrestling related. Is the NFL a work?
You asking me or Rod? Oh, you asking Rod?
I'm asking you because you don't know the history. Rod has been Rod 20 years ago tried to convince me that it was. I finally believe that it is now 20 years later, and I done grew up.
Hey, man, ain't no sport real. Every sport's a work.
That's
ain't
right.
You learned that yet? I don't care what you're doing out there. It's a work. You can believe it or not. UFC, football, baseball, hockey, golf, it's all a work.
It's all over.
The only thing that's real is wrestling.
That's right.
That's right. Actually, it's true.
Wrestling
That's true.
And Dukes of Hazzard.
Very true.
Hey, I'll tell you another little story. I don't know if y'all guys know John Saxon. I know Rod does. You know John Saxon? Yeah. Man, I started.
Gang, I know John Saxon very, very well.
Well, I went to Shreveport. This is the last time I saw Akbar before he passed away. I was doing a show up in Shreveport at some old comedy club up there. I was working John Saxon, and they sent the finish over and said, well, John wants to go over, blah, blah, blah. It's his ring. He brought the ring, whatever, he wants to go over. So, I don't have no problem. As long as I get what I'm supposed to be paid, I ain't got no problem. So I went out there, we did the match, and he wanted to go over with a tap out. So, I ain't going to argue, I ain't going to do nothing. But, man, afterwards, every time I run in that man now, I don't care what's going on. I'll be like, y'all start the conversation like, John, man, what a crybaby. You had to run to the promoter and tell him, if I don't get to go over the one-man gang, I'm going to take my stuff and go home. And John would be like, I didn't do that. I always get, yeah, you did. You know good well you run to that promoter crying that you had to go over one-man gang. Oh, if I don't get to go over, I'm leaving right now and all that.
I'm taking my ring.
I'll take my ring and go home. He gets mad as a son of a gun over that. But it's true, though. He did do that.
Good old. No, I know Saxon really well. Saxon's actually been on the show, and I believe it 200%, gang. Good old Saxon.
You couldn't come up with a finish. Okay, well, let's do it. Let's do a double disqualification. Let's do a count out. Put your hand up, get you a count out over the gang or something. He wants me he sends a finish over with a tap out. Not just a pinfall. I got to tap out. The one-man gang, the meanest man alive, got to tap out to John Saxon, who ain't but about 5 foot tall.
Come on, man.
I was about to say that, Rod. Now, Saxon and I are both maybe 5'8", 5'9". And he's got 6'9", one-man gang.
I ain't got nothing against short people, but, we got in that ring together, and it honestly looked like, a giant against a little person. That's honestly the way it looked. And he's got to do a tap out. Put me in a crossface gimmick, whatever you call that thing, and I had to tap out to him. Man, ain't that just pitiful? Ain't that just
good old?
That's awesome.
Good old Saxon making it.
He jumped up with raising his arms and prancing around the ring and all that. Man, like he had done something.
Good old Saxon. Leave it to Saxon.
Exactly. Here's me.
Oh, man.
We're like, me and Skandor Akbar has been in that area forever. We're like, mid-South legends in the area. So, instead of doing a gimmick finish and Akbar do something and I go over with him outside interference, whatever, let me slip over because we're already, no, John can't do that. I got to go over. Come on, man. I brought the stuff. This is my ring.
That's right. This is my show.
Jesus, Lord.
I didn't argue. Honestly, I didn't even get mad about it. My wife did. She hated it. She said, "You mean they're going to?" She was like really mad. She goes, "You going to tell me that little bitty midget's going to beat you?" She was really mad. People booed it. People honestly booed it. They booed that. Man, that's a bunch of bull. They were all cussing and stuff. You got to be crazy. There ain't no way he'd beat one-man gang.
Gang, the thing is, if you'd have argued with him, he'd have blew your ears up. Because Saxon can talk. Saxon
man.
Don't stop talking.
Crazy. Then,
he don't shut up.
I've seen him post a couple of things on Facebook, you know, and I'll post underneath him, you know, like I'll go like Saxon, what championship you got now? Because I know you won't go out to the ring without a championship.
Gotta have a strap on him when he walks out.
He does. I ain't never seen that man go to the ring without some kind of strap around that waist.
Gotta have a strap.
A made-up strap. It ain't even a real championship. He just carries it in his bag just to wear it to the ring. I'm the junior heavyweight. I'm the junior champion.
Junior champion. He was on the show one time with us, and he was in the back. He wouldn't shut up. I told him this when he was on the podcast. Well, he finally walked out the room, and Rod was back there. And the minute he walked out the room, finally the room was getting some air because he wasn't talking. Rod goes, damn, damn good. Rod goes, dang, it sure got quiet in here. Everybody popped. Everybody that was in the room popped. Came unglued.
Here's my deal. I'll be in the dressing room or something with him, and he'd be like telling all these war stories of his matches, you know. Hey, yeah, I worked this guy, I worked that guy, blah blah blah. And then out of the blue, you know, when he's telling the story, he'll go, "Ain't that right, gang? Ain't that right, gang?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, John, that's right." Yeah, no matter what he's doing, you know, yeah, back in the old day, we'd get the heat this way. Ain't that right, gang? That is a trip, brother.
Give me a little street cred, man.
That dude trips me out. I mean, for a little dude, he thinks he's like a giant or something. He honestly does.
Good old Saxon.
He had a picture posted up on Facebook of him eating like a cake, a little cake or something. I guess it was his birthday. And he had this old gold tank top thing on where his arms and everything showing. I said, I posted under the thing where it says comment. I said, John, yeah, we can see you going to the gym, but how much juice have you taken to get that way?
Oh God! Did he comment behind it, gang?
Nah, he didn't really say nothing back. Every time I see any crazy posting by him, I always post something. I post, you know, like, you tub of guts, you had to go cry to the promoter. One of the little comments. I always leave stupid comments. You know, I'm like, you know you can't work. You ain't nothing but a tub of guts.
Tub of guts. Oh, good old Saxon, man. I told him that when he was on the podcast. I said, man, you don't come up for air, dude. You just keep talking. You just keep on talking.
He talks like he's been in the business since about 1960 or something.
Oh, he's been doing it since 1912.
I know. It's crazy. He'll talk to you like he's been in every main event since 1970 or something, you know?
He was working for Vince Sr.
Yeah, exactly. That's
right.
I like John. I ain't got nothing against him, but he does ramble on a bit.
No, me and him cool, man. But I do mess with him about that talking because I like, damn, dude, you don't stop.
That's true.
I mean, just turbo tongue, man. Just. And
the thing is, he ain't talking about other guys. He's talking about himself.
Exactly.
Oh.
He's putting himself over all the time.
If you could have been there that day, Rod, he walked out that room and Rod quietly said, damn, it sure got quiet in here. Everybody came unglued.
Dude, I tell him straight up to his face, man, what'd you do, work since 1960 in every main event or what? He's in the business to these guys, these youngsters or whatever they are. Tell them, yeah, you got to do this. To get the heat, it should be this way, and then just out of the blue. Ain't that right, gang? Like like if I give him my okay, that proves that, you know, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, sure. So whatever you say, Saxon, just calm down. Get a little bit more quiet. Good old John. Oh God, good old John. Yeah. That's good.
Everything we say about him is true. We ain't lying about it.
I wouldn't say nothing. I'm telling you, he was on the show and I told it to his face. He knows it.
Yeah, just luckily, I mean, you and Rod know exactly how it is, so you know that, what I'm saying is the truth. I mean,
right.
we know that man.
Right.
That's crazy, man.
It is. Nah. Hey, we got WWE stories tonight. We got Mid-South stories. We got World Class. We got we even got Saxon and Minotaur independent stories. I think we covered the gamut, man. We done went around the block. Gang done called me Bill. I mean, I can live with it. And when the legend calls you Bill,
I thought it was Bill. I thought you was Bill. What is your name?
Now he's ribbing me, Rod.
It's like Mascaris, It's not Bill Mascaris, it's Mill.
Man, you know how many chair shots I've had in my head, Bill?
I can believe it, gang.
Well, I mean, what? What is your name again? Bill? I'm just working you, brother.
I know. Hey, I'm not Saxon. I don't get upset at stuff like that.
I know your name, Mitch.
He's going to hang up on you, gang. Watch out.
No. I wouldn't do that.
Hey, I'll track him down. I'll get that walker and I'll run you down, brother. I'll get that walker, chase you down, and then start stomping you with my walker.
That's right.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
No, Walker's true, but people don't believe you all crippled up, man. When you crippled up, they think you just, working them or something, Right. Yeah, I'm crippled up. Nah, you ain't. What do you mean? No, I'm crippled up. I'm telling you, I'm crippled. No, you ain't.
lot of tread on the tires.
Man, people are. I don't know. I hate to say stupid, but they're really just stupid. I put up on my Facebook page, please do not post videos here. I don't want to see them. I was in the match. I don't really need to relive it. I ain't left that thing 5 minutes. I come back and they done posted a video up there. I get on there again. Please do not post videos. I don't care to see them. I don't look at them. And if these people want to look at them, go to YouTube. That's what it's for. I ain't gone 5 minutes. I look, there's a video posted there. How stupid are people?
That's Saxon, I swear, man.
I mean, come on. I'll answer the same question 100 times. Oh, why did you become Akeem? I'll leave it up there on the main page. Well, what happened. Hey, the next day, the same question. Oh, why did you become Akeem? I mean, come on, man. Come on.
They all want to know how to become Akeem. Yeah, nah. Hey, you figured out how to do that setting though, where you can fix it where they can't post it? Because you can fix it. You can stop people from doing it.
The videos you can't block. I found that out. I had some tech guy, messing me back and forth. He said you can't block videos, but you can block like some kind of post or whatever. You can check it first, but the videos you can't. So I said, I'll just delete the things. If I see one pop up, I delete it. Then on these last few, this last story I was telling about how Akeem became to be, I just, the little video shoot we did and where I was introduced as Akeem, I just put a link to YouTube where it would just go straight to the video. That way, as they're reading the story, they can just hit the link and see the video right there, if they want to watch it or not. I keep telling these people, man, you want to watch video, go to YouTube. This ain't a YouTube page. Go to YouTube. You can't get them to understand it. It's like hitting them in the head with, so you just can't get them to understand it. Then I don't know how many people, when I put up those the first Akeem boots I ever wore in the ring, I put up some pictures of them, I said, these are my first Akeem boots, and I had a little snapshot of me wearing them as Akeem the very first night. It ain't them yellow ones. These are some lace-ups. So I put the thing up there, and then all of a sudden I probably got 10 messages. Man, would you sell them boots? I'll buy them boots. I'll buy these boots. I'll buy these boots. So I said, man, I'm gonna try this out. So then the second time I posted up some red lace-up boots I wore for SummerSlam. And I put a little picture up there showing me wearing them on the apron, and there's Andre the Giant, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and everybody was against me, Boss Man Andre, against Duggan and Demolition, Axe and Smash on SummerSlam. So I post a picture up there, on the same thing. Oh, yeah, man, would you sell them boots? Blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, we'll see about this. So I posted a thing up there and said, well, I'm getting a lot of messages about selling my boots. I said, well, I'll take, I'm not going to do a bidding war. I'm going to put a flat price of $1,000 for the Akeem boots, and the SummerSlam boots is $2,000. Man, after I put that up there, I didn't get one message. They thought, they was all like, we'll buy it. They thought I was selling it for a yard sale or something. I'll give you $5 for them.
So if you throw in that one-man gang jacket.
Yeah, exactly. Man, these people trip me out. I can't. That's why I mess with them on there. They trip me out. I can't. They want stuff.
It's entertaining.
They want the stuff. Then when you offer it to them, they back off. Hey, if you want it bad enough, fork over $1,000. I'll be glad to sign the stuff, take a picture with it. Whatever. I'll go to the bathroom and piss on it if you want me to. Whatever you want. Pay me $1,000. I don't care, But no, I got a couple of international offers, but man, that international stuff's just hard to mess with. Another thing that really, really irks me. I know it's easy on people, but man, I got hit back so many times when I put one-man gang T-shirt, classic shirts up there trying to sell them. I got hit so many times about, man, you need to get a PayPal. I got to have a PayPal. I use PayPal. And I'm on there. I tell them straight up. I'm not computer savvy. All you got to do is go to the post office, get you a postal money order, fill it out like I tell them on the little information, put it in the thing, blah, 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 blah. Mail it to me, and I'll mail you the picture or whatever. And they're like, man, I don't even know where a post office is. I'm like, yeah, that's where the place they deliver mail, and you go there and there's a real person there. You talk to that person, they'll help you out. You go there and they'll help you out. You put a little stamp on it. Yeah, they sell stamps. You put a stamp. These people just are crazy. They like, man, all I want to be able to sit here and order on my telephone. I'm saying, I'm thinking, man, what does society come to?
They don't know how to go to the post office, gang. I mean,
they don't. They have no idea about getting a money order, cashier's check, or whatever. They like, I ain't got time for all that. Well, if you want the picture, autographed picture, or whatever, you got time for it. I ain't got time to mess with setting up no PayPal stuff. Yeah, it's easy. I'll admit it's easier. But, man, I ain't computer savvy. I might be sending money to darn Japan or something. I don't know where that stuff's going.
ISIS. Support ISIS.
I have no idea, man. I don't know what's going on that thing. I just tell them straight up, man, if you can't do it old school, you don't want it.
Right.
Some of them do it, some of them don't. Most of them don't, I'll be honest, but I get some guys that go, yeah, I've done it before, I've done this. A lot of guys that do it this way. I ain't got no problem with it, which is fine. I love them type people. Man, the majority of them are like, you got to get a PayPal. I can't do it without PayPal. My gosh. It just drives me crazy.
We were Rob. He and I were talking about that last week when we talked the whole post office thing. Nobody wants to go to the post office no more, and he had me rolling. This is the second time I heard of it. He had me rolling about nobody wants to go speak to a person at the post office. They can't get an envelope to put the money order in to send it that's self-addressed and stamped to come back. It's not that hard, trust me.
No. Now, but look at most of you can't even carry on a conversation with people nowadays because they got their phones.
Oh no way.
Oh yeah.
They're texting and walking. If you were looking for directions, how are you going to stop this person?
Man, I use
your GPS on your phone. What if my GPS sends me 600 yards or 6 miles from the destination point?
I'm gonna take it a step further. When Gang and I talked, we were talking about that.
Yeah,
that's what Gang and I were talking about. He said Gang was talking about road trips and getting in the car and when you're in the territories, town to town, the guys talk to each other. They conversed with each other and talked and got to know each other. Man, nowadays you get in the car with a bunch of guys, everybody's on their phone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, back in the day, if I wanted to know how to go somewhere, I had to pull out Rand McNally.
Right.
I carried a big old square Rand McNally map. You know, if I was going to a city or something, I'm just praying this guy one of them close-up maps, you know, that could show me some roads to get in or something. That was it. That's all I had was a Rand McNally. That's all I had to use. Then once I get into the city or wherever, I just stop and ask, man, where's the wrestling matches tonight? They'd tell you. They wouldn't have never any problem. But that's just the way, you know, back in the old days, that's all we had was Rand McNally. We didn't have these fancy damn telephones that could talk to you. Take a left up here. This is your destination. I would have loved to have that stuff. My God.
Oh, yeah. Would have saved time.
Shoot. Man, you can imagine, you know, you in there and you got that Rand McNally. Hopefully you pull out your little magnifying glass, you know. Well, we got to take Highway 15 up here somewhere. And, man, back in you go up in the Oklahomas and Mississippis, I mean, them roads are like you talking about some backwoods roads you had to take sometimes to get to the town. It wasn't interstate, that's for sure.
No, man. Backwoods is the way to put it. You ain't lying about that.
Yeah, you ain't joking. You that's for sure. But, I mean, that's all we had. That's what we did, you know. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And we didn't get directions from the booker, you know, or promoter. You got your booking sheet. You better be at wherever you got to be at. They wouldn't give you directions. Okay, go up here and you turn this way or that. You better find your own way.
Right.
Like I said, you can make the town one way or the other. If you're in a car wreck and get killed, have them deliver you to the building, throw you in the ring for somebody to get the 1, 2, 3 count on you. Sounds brutal.
Talk about it. Different day, different time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it was.
Oh, man.
Man, when I first started, when I was up in the Kentuckys with the Poffos back in 81, 82, the way we got to the town was all the, you know, I ain't talking about Savage or his dad or Leaping Lanny or, you know, them type guys, but I'm talking about us regular talent. We all piled into the ring truck. That was our transportation.
Right.
They had a big truck, and they put the ring in it. We all piled into it. Man, in the summertime, it'd be hotter than heck in the back of that thing. In the wintertime, it'd be so freezing cold. The cab was connected, so it had like an opening right there. You know, it was open to the back. You'd try to get as close as you could to get some of that heat in the wintertime. Find the softest ring boards you could find and crawl up there and, you know, and make you trip. That was how we got there. And I'm talking about long trips, too. You know, they wasn't around the corner trips. I'm talking about long trips.
Well,
that was just the way we did it, you know. And, man, dudes nowadays, if they had to do that, they'd quit in one day.
Oh, absolutely.
Rod, you talked about that. You talked about how y'all used to pile in a bus, leave Dallas to head to can't remember where it was, Memphis, to make, you know, the tapings and everything. And, you know, it was a long ride in a bus. You cramped up and a bunch of guys. It's just how it was back then.
Exactly.
That's the way it was. I mean, you didn't think anything about it. You just jumped in, and
it didn't even cross your mind, man. You was just, man, I'm wrestling. I don't care. You just
we got to go 800 miles to the next town. Let's go.
Yeah.
Got to get.
That's it. That's all there was to it. Man, my first time coming into Mid-South Wrestling, when I left my home in South Carolina, I just finished ICW. I went home to South Carolina. Well, when I left ICW with the Poffos, I didn't have a driver's license yet. I was, 82. I didn't even have a driver's license or a vehicle. So when I left there, I went with one of the guys that was up there with us, Gary Royal. I rode back with him to his house in North Carolina. He had his LTD, and I didn't have no money. So he said, "Okay, man, I'll give it to you, and you just, you know, pay me when you start making some money." He knew I was going to Mid-South, you know. He said, "When you get the money, you can send it to me, and, you know, you can pay it off." I said, "That'd be cool." So I didn't know nothing about driving. I didn't have a license. We took the car and took a big glob of mud and rubbed it on the tags, you know, so it'd cover it up. And I drove on home. Didn't have a license or nothing. Drove home to Spartanburg with it, you know. Then I got Spartanburg. I didn't have a driver's license. I couldn't get a driver's license with that car because it wasn't insured yet or nothing. So one of my buddies, you know, that I grew up with, let me use his car. I went and took my first driving test. I failed it. I couldn't do the parallel parking. I messed up on it. So I went back. I waited just a couple of days, went to another location. I'm not thinking, computers. I don't know they had computers. I go to another location, and the tester's like, well, you just tried a couple of days ago. You're supposed to, wait so much time before you do another one. I said, man, I got this job and out of state, and I really need these driver's license, and the dude was nice, He didn't know me as a wrestler or nothing, just a regular dude, He said, man, okay, let's go ahead and do it. So we did the test. I still messed up, but this dude passed me, He said, here you go, here's your license. So I got my driver's license, and I'm ready to roll, baby. I get the car, get some insurance and tag and everything now. And I leave my home in Spartanburg, and I ain't hardly got enough money to get a soda pop. Just had enough for some gas money to make it there. I get into Baton Rouge, I don't have nowhere to stay, so I pull up in a parking lot, like a bank or church or something. I figured this would be a safe place. I'm sleeping in the car in the parking lot. The police come pulling up, shining lights all in the car, say, hey, what's going on here? I'm like, man, I didn't have nowhere to stay, I just come into town, and they look shining all in the car, looking for beer cans and stuff, and they go, well, you can't park here and sleep, it's illegal. And I said, well, I'm coming in for, Mid-South Championship Wrestling, and I didn't have nobody's name but Grizzly Smith. So I said, you can call this man and check, so they checked with Grizzly Smith, and, he verified who it was and all that, so they were like, okay, but you can't sleep here. So I found some off back alley and slept in my car, and then Bill Watts heard I didn't have nowhere to stay or nothing, so he gave me an advance, on some my money, coming up, and I was able to finally establish myself with a roof over my head.
Damn.
So how many guys would do that to get into wrestling? You know what I'm saying? You sleeping in your car.
Right. Nobody.
No food to eat, basically a loaf of bread, maybe some peanut butter, that's it. But, I wanted to be a wrestler, It wasn't given to me. That's why I tell guys, this wasn't given to me. I worked for it.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of stuff to get to where I was at.
Well, it's like you said, people see, I guess, the end product or where you're at that time. Like you were talking about Austin or you're talking about Undertaker, they don't realize that those guys started at another spot. They weren't always there. I mean, they may say, well, oh, yeah, I realize they started at the bottom, but they can't visualize and they don't see those people at that spot at the bottom. They don't realize where they started.
No, I remember Austin telling a story that I think he was in Memphis or somewhere, and he was telling a story that they were so poor there that all they could afford was potatoes. That's all they had to eat was like raw potatoes.
Yeah, I heard that. He said he was peeling raw potatoes in his car. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, that's just an example right there. I mean, nobody starts. I mean, now maybe nowadays. I'm talking about back years ago. Nobody started on the top. Everybody had a rough time. You had to work your way up, work your way in. I mean, it wasn't just given to anybody. Nobody was just given the spot. Unless you were like like a Von Erich who was born into it. I'm just talking about regular people.
Right.
I mean, it ain't like now. They throw you on TV and you're a star.
Right.
They they don't have to go through all that eating peanut butter or raw potatoes or whatever. They're already on a little contract being taken care of, even when they're down at the school.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
it's different time.
So I ain't got nothing against nobody. Good for them. I'm happy that anybody can make money in professional wrestling. I'm just using that as an example, saying how times have changed over the years.
Right.
So, and I'm sure Rod has been the same way. He wasn't given to him. He had to come up the hard way just like everybody else. That's
right.
That's his name, Hard Way, see?
Hard Way, baby.
Oh, boy.
I wouldn't change it. I mean, I've loved every second of it. Like I say, I tell people, man, I wouldn't change it. Heck, I loved it. I love doing it. That was... I don't know why, but when I was a youngster, I just knew that that's what I was born to do. Yeah, I don't know what it is, if you know that or what, but the first time I ever saw I was 13 years old, and I saw Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling on TV, and for some reason, I said, man, that's me. That's my job. I'm born to do that. And
right.
from then on, I was a total wrestling fanatic. I mean, I'd buy, what I could, magazines, but back then magazines didn't cost $20 each either. You could order back issues for like 50 cents, $1 each, back issues. I'd order them through the mail and get them in the mail, and man, I'd read them cover to cover. I'd read the articles. I'd study them. I would, I'm serious. I would cut promos in the mirror, because I watch on TV. I see, man, these dudes I didn't know them as promos. I just knew they was doing like an interview. So I would get in front of a mirror and do my own interviews, like I'm coming to a town. I didn't have a wrestling name. I just, I would just be cutting the promo like you would, like if you come into a town. I did all that, man. That
was precious.
Yeah, I'd get a piece of paper and make up my own cards, like I'd mix territories, even before they did it. I'd put the WWF champion against the NWA champion. That would be my main event. Then I'd run the card all the way down, making up my own cards. Every week I never miss wrestling. And Mid-Atlantic would, come on like a Saturday afternoon. Then they had a late night one from Asheville. It'd play, 11 o'clock or whatever. And, man, I used to get so mad. I'd stay up all, the whole evening. And right before it'd come on, I'd be so sleepy I'd fall asleep and wake up right at the last match or something. I'd be so mad. I'd be God, I can't believe I missed that, Or, we didn't have no VHSs or anything to record it back then. So you missed it. You just missed it.
Yep.
And then
you couldn't do nothing about it back then. I remember that. I was the same way with Mid-South. Like, I'd be mad on a Saturday afternoon in New Orleans when I miss it because they had no VCR, no VHS, no DVR back then, and just
we didn't have no YouTube we could go look it up on. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it. And man, I remember in Mid-Atlantic when it was something special, say the world champion would come in, Harley Race, Terry Funk, or anybody, or Andre the Giant would come in. Man, that was like the biggest time ever, man. You never miss that shit. Like I said, I get that nice $5 ticket, go down to the Memorial Auditorium. I remember a lot of times, that first time I saw Andre the Giant, man, he come in there's like a little back door. You come into the auditorium, and he come through there and just blocked out everything. He's had that big bush. You remember back in the day when he wore that big old bush about way up there. Yeah. He blocked out everything. I was amazed. I'm like, oh, my God, that's Andre the Giant. He come in the ring, and, everything is really up close. I mean, you can see when he's, like, in the ring, you look at his foot. Man, that thing was, like, gigantic. His fist or his whole body, I mean, you, like, just staring at him, like, in amazement. Before I got in. Even after I was in the business, I was still amazed. But I'm saying as a mark, not, watching it as a fan, my gosh. That was just amazing.
Yeah.
To me, I was, some biggest thrills of my life going to the auditorium and watching all them matches, People just don't understand it. You cannot explain to people when you're a wrestling fanatic, what it was like back in those days, and then actually get to go into the business that you love so much and be in the years later, be in the dressing room and actually be in the ring with these same guys that you used to pay money, to go down and watch at the auditorium,
Right.
People just don't understand, you could tell them 100, you'd try to explain it, but you just can't get that feeling, to them that what it meant to me, to be able to be in the dressing room with these guys. I'm like, even years later when WWE, any time, man, I'm in the dressing room with Andre the Giant, I'm like, I'm sitting there getting dressed right beside the man, and I'm like, man, I'm dressing in here with Andre the Giant, in my head. I'm like, this ain't right. I'm thinking, when's the alarm clock going to ring? What I should be waking up about now? I was like that my whole career, when I get in against Dusty Rhodes or anybody, I'm like, man, I just can't believe I'm actually wrestling Dusty Rhodes. I mean, that's how big a thrill it was through my whole career. It's just my whole life was that way. I was just, man, here I'm teaming. My first Superdome show was me and Harley Race against Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch and Andre the Giant. That's that's my first Superdome show after I come from ICW. I'm like 23 years old. I'm like, you know, and you couldn't imagine the feelings of that, man. Here I am with Harley Race. You got to be kidding me. And on top of that, over there's Andre the Giant. And there's Dick Murdoch. You got to be kidding me. And here I am in the ring with these guys. I didn't, you know, there ain't no way I deserve this. There's a lot of guys should have been here, but it shouldn't be me. There ain't no way I should be in this ring. You know, but that's just the way I felt about it, though. You know, I was lucky. A lot of people helped me along the way, you know, and gave me breaks here and there, and really helped me out. Bill helped me a lot, you know, because once I left, well, he took me in. Originally, when I went from there, ICW to Mid-South, he didn't know me from Jack Smith. Ernie Ladd, he came up to ICW. I was working as Crusher Broomfield for the Poffos, and I was a heel, and then we did a switch where I switched babyface. Ernie, the Cat Ladd, come up there as a favor for the Poffos to work against me. He's a heel, I'm the babyface. You know, and the Ernie Ladd interview, Crusher Broomfield, I hear you talking lip about our big cat, Ernie Ladd. I'm going to come up there and give you a whipping like your mama should have gave you a long time ago. You up there in the ICW, yak, yak, yak out of the side of your mouth. You know, and, man, we come up there, that was the biggest business ever, man. We sold out everywhere. We run about 5, you know, he did about 5 shows for him against me, and it was all sellouts, you know. And I ain't saying it was on anything on my part, but it's just because of Ernie Ladd. But anyway, he went back to Bill Watts, and, you know, he told Bill Watts, man, you gotta get this guy, you know. Luckily, all our matches was perfect, you know. I didn't really mess up anything, to be honest, but... You know, so he went back to Bill Watts because he was working for Bill Watts. And he tells Bill, man, you got to get this dude, blah, 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 blah. So as it turns out, you know, Bill brings me in and didn't know me from Jack Smith. He just took Ernie's word for it, you know. So, I mean, you know, that's just an example of how somebody will help you out, you know. And then
that's right.
When I left Mid-South, Bill got me booked out, you know. He told, you know, when it come time, I was there about a year. And he came to me and goes, you know, gang, it's time for you to move on. I didn't know nothing about territories and junk. He said, you know, you only stay so long, and you know, we gotta move you on. He said, I got you booked in Memphis, you know, and I said, well, that's fine. I didn't know nothing, so we packed up and moved to Memphis. Memphis was god awful, man. Payoffs were all back to $30 a night, you know, and stuff like that. So I was there about 2 months. I called Bill up on the telephone, and I just told him straight up. I said, Bill, I'm starving to death here. It's just hard. I explained to him what was going on. And plus, they went back to Crusher Broomfield because of my ICW days. The ICW TV overlapped with that Memphis area. So instead of them using one-man gang, they went back to Crusher Broomfield. So, you know, Bill said, well, just give me a couple of days. So a couple of days, he called me up and said, pack up. You're going to go to Mid-Atlantic. So from there, Bill got me booked in Mid-Atlantic, and then everything just rolled on from there. And every time I was in between territories or heading to Japan or whatever, you know, you may have a week off or whatever, he would always book me into his territory, Mid-South, you know, and let me pick up some extra money, you know. He always took care of me that way.
That's good, man.
That's just an example of how, you know, once somebody, you know, understands you and trusts you, how they can help you out, you know, back in those days.
Right.
So
different day, different time.
I'm just showing that example because, you know, that's just, luckily, I was just a lucky person that got helped out. Without all that help, I never would have been anything. I would still be in probably Spartanburg, I guess, you know, so. I was just a lucky person. I don't take any credit for anything. I was just lucky being in the right spots and people helping me out. Now that's basically what made my career.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy how it all works out with was it back then the territories too were helpful where you could, you know, like you said, you go one place and you go to this place and you come back. But that's crazy, man, to hear a story like that and, you know, where you start, where you go, and where you leave and go to, and then you come back and
right.
All I know is back in those in the World Class days and Mid-South days, man, that was some hot times watching that stuff on TV.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Now, Ernie really helped me twice. He helped me get into WWF, too, because he was working WWF office at that time, and I was UWF champion. And he told Vince, you know, that one-man gang, you really got to get, because they wanted big guys to feed to Hogan. So he told Vince about me, and sure enough, that's how it went on from there. Vince called me, and we talked, and we set it up, and, that's a whole nother story, but I'm just saying, that's just, hey, really 2 times in my career, if it wasn't for Ernie Ladd, I would have been left out in the cold.
Wow. Yeah.
So I always give credit to Ernie and Bill for everything, basically, because luckily in the Chalmette at that reunion thing they did before WrestleMania and in New Orleans, I got to go over to him and talk to him privately, and, I told him, man, I thank you I just want to make sure that that what you did for me didn't go unappreciated, all them years of taking care of me. So,
right.
I always like to do that with guys and, just let them know before something, before I don't have a chance to do that. I did that with Ernie when I saw him at WrestleMania 17 when I got to go to the Gimmick Battle Royal. He was there being inducted into the Hall of Fame, so I got to speak to him there, and I thanked him for all he done for me, through the years. And, I try to do that with, everybody, so.
Right.
Yeah, they tell them. You want to tell them while they're still around. And
yeah,
they can,
exactly, because, guys click off so fast nowadays, it's pitiful.
It's horrible,
It's unreal.
So
Rod and I were talking about that a while back, how, just getting to a run of guys just passing away. It's insane.
Yeah. I think, when I had a match, man, I'd come back, I'd thank everybody, man. I'd thank the referee. I'd go around, shake his hand, and, I'd be thanking everybody. I'd go out and find a man selling Coca-Colas and thank him.
Yeah, ticket sellers, everybody.
It was just, you should do that in professional wrestling. You ain't the only person out there. It's you, possibly 2 or 3 or 4 other guys, especially a referee. The referees is probably 50% of what you're doing out there. Darn, you got ring announcers. All that's important to a match,
Right.
A lot of guys always forgot that for some reason.
Yeah, it definitely takes more than 1 or 2 people out there. It takes a whole bunch of people to get it to go.
No doubt at all. No, I always give thanks for whoever booked me, the promoters, owners, anybody, Fritz, Ken Mantell, or wherever I was at. It didn't matter, like Florida, man, Dusty, and all that, man. I constantly was thanking that man, for taking care of me and all that.
Yeah. Well, gang, you said you go to bed at 9, man. We done rolled past 9 and creeping up on 10 at this point.
I had to put my phone on charger. You guys are killing me.
Hey, man, I don't get to talk to anybody. I'm out here all by myself.
I could have gang. Yeah, I remember when I called you or you called me, you were like, He's like, well, I don't know if I got too much to say, and so I usually don't do these things. And look, man, we almost 3 hours in. What I was gonna say was we 3 hours into it.
I know. I get carried away, man. That's how much I love professional wrestling.
Yeah,
loved it. Maybe I should say I loved it. Not so much now, but I'm saying, back in my heyday, that's how much I loved it, So
I hear you.
Yeah, I don't do these, man. Last one I did for Ken Mantell. He had a little radio gimmick going. I guess over there on your side somewhere, but I did one for him. Other than that, I hadn't done any of them. I've had people message me over and over and over. Will you do a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, no, with all due respect, I got to turn your offer down or whatever.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, look, you just so you know,
we wouldn't have never talked to each other if it wasn't for Rod this time. That's the only reason. I'm just going to be honest. That's the only reason I even called the number.
I know.
And that's it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
And Rod knows I'm eternally grateful for it.
Yeah, I love talking wrestling. I can talk for hours on, as you know, I can talk for hours on wrestling, but I just don't have anybody to talk to about it because I'm, like I say, I'm here. So, like I said,
well, gang, don't be surprised if I just call you out the blue then, if that's what you like to do, because I don't mind.
I ain't gonna do that now. I ain't gonna sit there and just talk on the telephone like that. That ain't gonna work. I'll just tell you straight up.
I'm messing with you.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been a heck of a good talk. I'm as bad as John Saxon, I guess. I'm flapping away, and there can't nobody get nothing in. Rod tells his story about getting scalped or something. I'm just talking so much, man.
I've been on Mike's radio show, so they don't want to hear from me. They want to hear gang stories.
Nah, they don't want to hear no gang stories. They want to hear from both of us. Hardway Rod Price, baby, he's out there battling away for years.
Getting beat like a seal.
Hardway's all messed up. He joined the gang just like me. He blew his back out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wrap this thing up if y'all all right with that, unless y'all want to keep going, because like I said, I can keep going, but I don't believe Rod's about his feel of it.
I'm about ready to go to bed, man. I'm just gonna put it on mute and let you guys finish up. Man.
I sleep in my recliner, man. I can't even lay down in a bed flat.
I can't even.
Man, it's like a knife being jabbed into my back. I have to sleep like up in a recliner, because it takes the pressure off my back. Yeah. And because I've tried it, man, I'll say I'll try to bed tonight. I go to bed, about an hour go by, man, and it feels like somebody jabbed me in my spine with a big old knife.
Yeah, buddy.
So, and Rod's had his work done. I took some injections, some a couple of spinal injections to relieve the swelling or whatever, but it didn't do nothing. But operation wise, the doctor, he refused. He said, I don't want to operate or nothing like that, which I'm glad he didn't, I hear a lot of times it makes it worse. So
yeah.
That damn Minotaur.
Yeah, exactly. I was doing fine to him.
After
him, I couldn't even walk across the floor.
The crippler.
The crippler. Now, I don't think you better use that name. Wasn't it?
I got you.
It was good talking with you guys. Seriously, I ain't just blowing fart up here or whatever. But I had a really good time, man. It was.
Absolutely.
Rod never calls nobody, man. I call Rod all the time.
Talk.
Rod, I try to call Rod all the time. He never picks up.
No, man. Now you sound like Tatum.
It's really the other way around. Rod calls me. I'm like, I never. The last time I got him, though, he's like, I know you won't call me back, you cheap son of a bitch.
Of course not.
Well, he didn't say bitch. He said cheap son of a gun. But, I know you won't call me back, you cheap son of a gun. So I surprised him. I picked up the phone and called him back. I was like, hey, I got you this time, didn't I? He said, I can't call you cheap no more.
Yeah, man, I got to change my gimmick, man.
That's awesome. But now I'm gonna let y'all go, man. Rod, thanks, gang, thanks, man. We'll
man, I appreciate it.
When do you try to put this together and air it? That way I could possibly plug it on my Facebook. I got close to 5,000 people on there.
I'm gonna try to
tune in.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do it. Between the beginning of December and mid. And here's why I say that: I got a bunch of stuff recorded, in the can right now to go. But what I'll do is I'll send you a link, or I'll tag you in it if you want me to. That way you can have it and you can share it.
I don't know what the tag is. But I don't really know. They can listen to it. I mean, how they do it? They listen to it online or something? I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. All they got to do, if they at that computer, they click on it. I'm gonna post it on your Facebook. They click on it from your Facebook, or if they on their phone, they can click on it from their phone too, from your Facebook.
Okay. Well, wait till you get it ready to put on the show.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to basically, if you put it 2 days early, people forget.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I won't post it until the day it hits.
Right. Then I'll get on there and I can make some comments about, now you can really hear me talking, blah, 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 because everybody's like, man, why don't you put up some videos or something, you talk, why don't you? I'm like, I can't do that. I don't like doing that. But, this time I can plug it on my page there, and maybe we'll pick up a few extra listeners.
There you go.
I hope so, and probably what I'll do, gang, is I'm gonna break it up into 2 parts since we talk so long. So
yeah,
which is a good
whatever
thing.
you need to do, ain't no problem. They'll get to hear about Rod Price getting scalped.
Oh God, that's gonna be a good one.
We get to hear about Rod Price with the Kotex on his head. That man, see, he's gonna be like a legend now. People,
he is. He's already a legend.
Be messaging him left and right after that to be like, man, did you really put a Kotex on your head?
No, I didn't. One man gang did.
I had never heard that, and that was great.
All right, just do that then. Let me know, and I'll set it up on my page, and we'll get it advertised or something,
Sound good, gang.
Well,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Too. You gonna advertise it or what?
Absolutely.
He will not. He's man. Man, he ain't gonna put nothing up there. All right, guys.
I
love you,
Ryan.
Pleasure talking to you, telling all these lies to each other.
Absolutely.
It's time for me to call it quits. My ear's about. I got a cauliflower ear from my telephone.
That's when it's good. All right, gang. You take care, man.
All right, brother.
I appreciate
y'all too. Take care of yourself. Stay safe.
All right,
and
man. Take care of you, gang. I'll be in touch.
Call me every month or so, Rod. Don't be so much of a stranger.
Yeah. We only live with 20 miles apart.
Yeah, exactly. We're 20 miles apart. We never see each other.
That's a crying shame, is what that is.
You going that Longview show, ain't you?
Yeah.
I saw the advertisement on the thing. They put a poster up there. I saw you old ugly head on the poster. I'm gonna throw it up on my page. I think it's Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, picking up Sam Houston in Denham Springs. He's going to be on
Sam Houston going with you, huh?
Got Joe Kane, Sam Houston. Gary Hart's going to be on the show, and so is Steve Cox.
Oh man, Steve Cox. Where'd they scrape that dude up from? Man,
I heard that name in a while.
But yeah, I saw it. I saw the poster. I'm gonna throw it up on my page probably Friday, and just put a little comment there saying, anybody in this area, you better be there. You miss this,
Right.
So I'm just try to hopefully somebody maybe don't know about it, may live in that area and see it on my page, and might get you extra couple ticket sales.
There you go, man. Everything's appreciated.
So.
No.
That's good, man. Well, y'all have a safe trip going there and all that.
I'll be in touch with you afterwards, man.
I'm sure Sam Houston will have some stories. He's got plenty of stories too. So, but at least Sam's straightened up, man. He's doing good, though. I'm proud of him.
That's the good part. Thank God, man.
Yeah, I'm proud of him, man. He was going the wrong way for a long time.
Yeah, and thankfully make the U-turn, man.
So luckily everything worked out for him, and hopefully I hope that he can stay on, the way he is, with his life and everything.
Right.
So, thanks to you, you're the one that keeps, keeping him going and getting him involved in everything now. So,
just
good.
Trying to do a little part,
That's
just
good,
trying
though, man. It's good he has a friend like that to turn to. If you don't, things can go bad for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's he's a lucky man that you're available to do that, and help him out and talk to him and get him on the right track and keep him on the right track.
Well, that's what we were talking about, Daniel. That you were saying about everybody that helped you, along your career and everything, and you never had any problems outside of the ring, but a lot of these guys do, and
oh yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you just need a hand to reach out and say, "Hey, man, I'm here for you, and I'm
That's
praying
good,
for you."
man. Ain't like I said, I'm glad, man. I'm glad you got him going to church and taking care of himself and all that, man. That's good for him.
God be the glory, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Because if not, I know I've known Mike forever, and I usually call him Sam, but I've known Mike forever, and man, that drinking was his downfall. He just could not stop drinking.
No.
I've seen him on so many trips, and he just could not pass it by. I don't care what was going on. He had to have a drink. And then
Right.
one drink went to two. You know how it is. And then before you know it, he's just staggering around drunk.
Yeah.
And like I say, I'm glad that really him going to jail probably really saved his life,
I really believe so. I really believe
that was part of his way in life was him doing that to get him on the right track.
Right.
I mean, because he's lucky, really lucky he didn't kill somebody, being drunk driving and all that. He is just really lucky about that.
Yeah, and killed somebody, killed himself.
Exactly.
It could have been a lot worse.
Right. So he's been really lucky, So hopefully he can get back into business some and get him some of these independent shows, and try to get his name back out there some,
Yeah.
So just
Absolutely.
like Jake, thanks to Dallas Page, Dallas cleaned him up, and got him on the right track. So
yeah.
And Jake was man. Jake should have been dead about 100 times over.
I know, brother.
Serious,
I know, man. No joke.
You know exactly how he was.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him in the dressing room so many times, just wasted away to nothing. Didn't even know what day it was, couldn't hardly speak, and just crazy. Then he had to go in the ring and work with this guy, and hopefully, he could carry through with a match, which luckily we always made it through and nobody got hurt, But, man, it was always a dangerous situation like that, So, luckily, so far, the way I hear it, I've seen him in a couple of signings here and there, and he seems to be, pretty straight. I hadn't bumped into him where he looked like he wouldn't,
Yeah.
So, good for him, too.
That's right, man. It's always hope.
Always hope. You gotta. I mean, the main thing these guys got to try, man. You just can't just, if you got that demon on your back, whatever it is, drink, drug, whatever, man, you got to put forth an effort. You just can't you just can't just say it'll be done. You got to actually put forth an effort. It ain't gonna be easy either. It's gonna be a lot of hard work and a lot of pain and suffering, but and even afterwards, I mean, that the demon's always there to
That's right.
be thrown right back at you. Anytime you can fall right back into the same patterns again, So, luckily there's guys like you around that helps them out and talks to them and keeps them on the right track, Because if it was me, if I was in your position, here, have a bottle of whiskey, drink it up. Here's you some Jack Daniels dancing, Sam. Do some dancing for me. But anyway, all right, guys. All right, I've done John Saxon you enough. I'm gonna let you go for real this time, guys.
All right, man.
All right.
Gang, I love you, bro.
Yeah, man, Mike, I love you too, Rod. I don't know about you, Bill. I don't know you that well, but I know Rod. I love Rod.
Oh, no, that's cool, gang. I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
All right, you guys take care of yourself.
All right, man.
You too.
Stay safe, brother. Stay safe on that road this weekend.
If you enjoyed that interview and discussion with the California stud Rod Price and the one and only one-man gang, the legend, the one-man gang of WWF fame, also known as Akeem, the African Dream, please do us a favor and subscribe to the show on YouTube where you're looking at it now, or either for which would probably be better through your audio device of choice. Make sure you subscribe to Booking the Territory on either Podbean, on either iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, wherever you get your podcast weekly. We do a weekly show. We do WWE reviews. We do ROH reviews. We do TNA reviews. We report news as well from reputable sources. We really don't like to report dirt sheet information, but give us a shout out on there. Go ahead and subscribe to us. It really helps the show out when you do that. And give us some 5-star reviews if you've enjoyed this episode. We've got tons of stuff online already. This show is almost a year in the making, so we've got tons of interviews that you will enjoy, tons of analysis that you'll enjoy. Shows generally drop every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Central, so occasionally they get held up and get dropped later. but you'll have a weekly wrestling show that you'll listen to with interviews and reviews and analysis of the current week's products. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode. I know it was 3 hours long. It probably took you a long time to get through it, but I'm sure it may have been worth it, considering that the One Man Gang does not do many podcasts or interviews. I have talked to him. It took a lot for Rod and I to get him to commit to it. But when he started, he went on, as you can see, for a whole 3 hours. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a great show. I really had a lot of fun. The gang always has an open invite if he ever wants to do this again. I doubt he will, but if he does, he's always open to come back. And like I said, check out our old interviews like WWE's Michael Tarver. You probably remember him from Monday Night Raw a few years ago. Or even Donovan Dijak. We've had him on the show. We've had on the Beer City Bruiser. We've had on Sam Houston from the Territory days. Check them all out, man. There's some really, really good stuff with those interviews. Yes, they are a part of our weekly shows, but you can check them out, give them a listen. And also, one of the best episodes we probably ever had was with Kenny the Starmaker Bolin. It was parts 1 and part 2. That was some good stuff. Kenny Starmaker Bolin, like I was saying in the opening, is from the Jim Cornette experience, and that guy's got more Jim Cornette stories than you could shake a stick at. So for right now, make sure you're following us on Twitter at BTT_podcast. I'm at Mike504Saints. You can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Booking the Territory. But more than anything, subscribe to the show by the means that you get your podcast. Just search Booking the Territory and you can get it from there, whether that's iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, or Podcast Addict, or wherever else you get it from. I appreciate you tuning in to this episode and this long 3-parter with the One Man Gang. Thank you very much, fans, and we look forward to having you tune into many, many more episodes. We'll catch you next time. Book it.
We taking over. Where you at? 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 Now that we taking over, gotta wonder what's next. Probably stack a couple of billion at baguettes on the wrist. Pick out a couple of cars, a motorcycle and jet. And if you try to oppose the crew, we breaking your neck. We just now getting it started, but you breaking the sweat. Achieving every accomplishment you aching to get. Like candy up on the whip, you know we making it wet. The kind of money you dream of, but ain't making it yet. Okay, no way, you niggas are gon' stay. Now that I got the juice and they calling me OJ. We don't play, better get hip or you gon' lay down. Cause I get crunk like Lil Jon screaming out. Better get the big picture or I'ma get with ya. But I'm really trying to focus on my cheese and trying to get richer. So getting with a nigga like me gon' take more than running with a posse like Ice-T. North side, where you at? South side, where you at? East side, where you at? West side, where you at? D-Town, where you at? Ag-Town, where you at? GP, where you at? Funky Town, where you at? North side, where you at? South side, where you at? East side, where you at? West side, where you at? We taking over, 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 where you at?
It's J Clay taking over, one verse at a time. Put you down to the grass or on the turf at the line. I make my own crunk beat and throw Little John on it. Trick the whole industry and knock this dough wide open. I'm in the game now, niggas ain't no stopping me. We through the throw this coldest niggas. We young punk MCs, DVDs on the screen, so these can watch me take a line from Missy. And you couldn't see me with little Daryl thick glasses. Spit at goods and Sam Tubbs. Look at my pot of matches. It's drastic, we fantastic. These fans are fanatics. We won't stop, we just ecstatic. Like Reebok, it's a classic. It don't matter, cause it's a matter of fact. We better than that. I mean, producers that you used to can go hard on the track. I'm spitting these facts. We crack back like Bobby Boucher. It's a shame to get in the game, we had to say.
Okay. North side, where you at? South side, where you at? East side, where you at? West side, where you at? Oak Cliff, where you at? Eastwood, where you at? Stop 6, where you at? South side, where you at? North side, where you at? South side, where you at? East side, where you at? West side, where you at? taking over. Where you at? We taking over. Where you at? We taking over. Where you at? We taking over. Where you at? Low from Fort Worth, put the dub in his face. Caprice with D's on it as I slide through the state. Hollywood, Eastwood, Southside, and Como. Get your hands up in the air in case a nigga kick dough. Fresh off the Southside, skating down Rosedale. Iceman 22, sitting in the wheel well. She call me Silly Rabbit, see the carrots in my grill. I'm making hot stutter, can we chill? Lil Rusty, Herman Lee, Gold Grills, 10th grade. What's up to Tyler, Texas, Emo, and Super Dave? You can buy it at the trap, or you can sell it at the house. But if you poke your chest out, then we pulling your ball strap. Spectators ask questions, where Rhino guns at? Put it on your T-Zone, my little cousin bust back. If you see me at the show, you can meet me in the stands. Like Ronald Artest, I put my hands on the fans. North side, where you at? South side, where you at? East side, where you at? West side, where you at? D-Town, where you at? Ag-Town, where you at? GP, where you at? Funky Town, where you at? North side, where you at? South side, where you at? East side, where you at? West side, where you at? We taking over, 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 where you at? Big Slip Records in the house, Supreme Records in the house. I'm sideways on this pimpin', huh? Pink Slip, Supreme Records, Pink Slip. Okay.